afternoon, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please have a seat. The chair is pretty clunky.
A little more leg to sit in
Okay.
there.
And then you can move the microphone towards your mouth and let us know your full name. Spell the last, please.
Name is James Shinsky. The last name spelling Shinsky.
Thank you. Ms. Seideving?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Shinsky, what is your current occupation?
I am technically retired from the Raymond Corporate Investigative Services as a fire investigator. However, I'm still on a part-time payroll as needed to finish the cases that I left behind.
And how long have you been in that role?
A fire investigator.
Fire investigator.
I started my training in investigation on my first fire as a trooper in 1982.
And then when did you start then? So you were a trooper for how many years?
I retired from the state police in 2003, and I was a full-time fire investigator for 8.5 years, 6.5 years running the training and certification in schools that the state police puts on for other agencies. Retired in June of 03, and then went to work for the Raymond Group in August of 03, and I'm still there.
And what did you do then with the Raymond Group?
Full-time fire investigator.
Okay. And so who would hire you as a fire investigator?
A lot of work in insurance companies, law firms. Sometimes we'll get, corporate jobs, product liability stuff. They need a fire investigator.
And as a role as a fire investigator, did you become involved in a fire at the Stermer residence in January 7th of 2007?
Yes.
And what was then your role with that particular fire?
Determine the origin and cause of the fire.
And were you then to interview, did you conduct interviews?
Initial preliminary interviews, general information about the site, the events of the day, do the origin and cause investigation, and at that point, depending on your findings, would be the end of my role as the origin and cause investigator.
And as part of your investigation, did you have the opportunity then to interview Linda Stermer?
Yes.
And do you recall when that interview happened?
I believe January 9th and 10th.
2 days?
2 days.
And why was it 2 days?
We started to do the interview on the 9th. She had appointments. Was supposed to meet with the funeral home and other appointments. So we ended that day and then scheduled on the next day to finish the interview.
So it was kind of just a continuation.
Yes.
And you had contacted Linda then obviously to arrange these interviews?
Yes.
And where did they take place?
The first one was in my work vehicle on the property, and then the second day, I believe we sat in her car, or there was a vehicle there. We basically in the vehicle and did the interviews.
And you say driveway of where?
In front of the home.
And did you request that to meet?
The lost location.
Okay, so you wanted to meet her at that location?
Yes.
Did you have any sort of information that from the police officers at that time?
Just the initial investigative stuff, what they had. I believe fire chief was there. We talked about their response, the fire call, their suppression activities, pretty much the standard, upfront information to get started.
Was it typical then for you to do interviews in your car?
Yes.
Kind of a common practice?
That was the rolling office.
Were these interviews recorded?
Yes.
And after you recorded them, at some point were they transcribed?
Yes, in our home office.
So who did the transcription? Your home office?
Yeah, it would have been one of our secretaries in the investigative group.
So once they're transcribed, they're reduced to then a written transcript?
Yes.
And then did you check the transcripts against the recording for accuracy?
Yes, always.
That was your common practice?
Yes.
And you did that in this case?
I did.
Pardon me?
I said, your question was who did that?
Oh, I'm sorry. You did that?
Yes.
Okay. And they were accurate compared to the recording?
Yes.
I'm going to show you I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit number 6. If you could just kind of leaf through that and tell me if you recognize it.
Yeah, that's a copy of the transcript on our interviews.
And can you just leaf through to the back and make sure that there's no alterations or changes?
Yeah, it looks like a full copy.
Your Honor, at this time I would move to admit People's Exhibit number 6 into evidence.
Object, Your Honor, on the grounds that I don't know what she intends to do with bits and parts of the transcript, but to admit the whole transcript has hearsay in it, has a bunch of irrelevant information in it. So if she wants to read question and answer, we can go ahead and I'll make my objections, but not to admit this transcript. We can go through as she reads it. That was part of my objections to the exhibits.
Do you have specific sections we can talk about?
Yes, Your Honor.
Does someone have an extra copy for me by chance?
Would you like an electronic copy, Your Honor, just for the board, or with hard copy?
Okay, thank you.
I'll email it to the court right now.
All right.
Good approach.
Yeah. Okay, Jerry, the matter we have to address may take a while, so I'm just going to let you go home for the long weekend. And because it's a long weekend, I'm going to just remind you, do not read, listen to, or watch any news reports about the case. Under the law, the evidence you consider to decide the case must meet certain standards. For example, witnesses must swear to tell the truth, and the lawyers must be able to cross-examine them. Because news reports do not have to meet these standards, they could give you incorrect or misleading information that might unfairly favor one side. So to be fair to both sides, you must follow this instruction, as well as all of my other instructions, such as not discussing the case with anyone, including family or friends or each other, no research investigations, and enjoy your 3-day weekend. Remember, you don't have to come back until Tuesday, directly to the jury room at 9 o'clock, and wear your badges and try not to lose them over the 3-day weekend. Thank you. You can leave your binders in your chairs.
Good morning, Mr. Shinsky.
Good morning.
So I believe we left off last week. You were conducting an interview in the driveway with the defendant. Is that correct?
Yes,
And that was at the scene.
yes.
And so, is this common to do the interviews at the scene?
Yes, normally we would drive up, meet with homeowners, and work right out of our vehicle and conduct interviews, everything right on that site.
And when you typically conduct these interviews, is it common for people to interrupt or come up to the car or come up to the scene?
Not unusual. Neighbors, people passing by, family members, will come up. Okay. And to have people walk up, curious people, things like that is not unusual at all.
So granted, this is just a few days after the fire that you're conducting this interview, correct?
Correct.
So you're saying that it's common for people to just be curious as to what happened and stop by?
Yes.
And you conducted an interview, I believe, on January 9th and one on January 10th. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe, I'm not sure where we left off, you had recorded those interviews
Yes.
and then they were transcribed into an actual written transcript. Is that correct?
Yes.
And were you able to then check the accuracy of the recording against the transcript?
Yes. Our clerical staff would type it, and then you listen to the transcript, read it all the way through. Any corrections or anything that need to be done are done so that it accurately matches what the recording has on it.
And you did that and you checked it for correct accuracy?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit number 6. And if you could just flip through this for me and tell me if you recognize that.
Yeah. It appears to be the same.
And it's the same. Are there any corrections, deletions, or changes to it from when you originally provided the transcript?
Yes, there has been areas that have been blacked out.
And does it appear from just glancing through that many of those areas that are blacked out are some of those extra conversations?
Yes.
conversations with those in the car as well as those approaching the car?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I would move for People's Exhibit number 6 to be admitted into evidence. I'm going to have you maintain that as we go through some of them and show them on the screen. As part of your interview with the defendant, did you have a drawing or like a floor plan done of the house?
Yes, it was done, I believe, by the end of the first interview, that first day. Ms. Stermer had appointments and had to leave, and then her daughter Brittany came to the site, and she's the one that actually provided a floor plan of the upper and lower floors.
And when you say the upper and lower, would that be the main level and the basement?
Yes.
And did the defendant have an opportunity to look at that floor plan?
Yeah, on the second day when I did my interview, a lot of that second interview was going through the floor plan, just with a general description of the building, what was in it, contents, items. Significant amount of the interview was pertaining to the layout and what was in the building.
And did she adopt that drawing that was done by her daughter as accurate?
Yeah, I believe she did.
Your Honor, at this time I believe defense counsel is stipulating to the admission of People's Exhibit number 7, which is the floor plan. It is 2 pages.
Yes, Your Honor.
People's Exhibit 7.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then permission to publish the jury. And again, this floor plan then was used throughout your conversations in the interviews conducted to use it as points of reference.
Yes.
Oh, and Your Honor, there's a copy for each juror. So I've stapled the first and second page together and made a copy for each juror. And I'm sorry, and this was something that you referred to then throughout the interview in terms of getting points of reference. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to have counsel then load up the transcript, and I'd like you to have it in front of you so that we can go through it together. I'm not going to have you read all of it, so I'll direct you then to what pages, since it is so lengthy. So I'm just going to have, okay, this is the first page of the transcript, and this is just where you introduce yourself, and does it list out then the people that are attending.
Correct.
So I'm going to have you go to page 4 of the transcript. Page 4 for me. At the top of the page, there's a J and there's an L. What does the J stand for?
The J is me, and the L would be Linda Stermer.
So the J is for your first name, Jim?
Yes.
Okay. And so I'm going to have you start at the top of that page and read then through that large paragraph. So start with the question that you asked at the top of the page and then read through her statement to you. And then just be mindful then of the redactions.
Yes.
Thank you.
The question is, okay, go ahead. If you want to just with Sunday morning or what was going on. Answer, Sunday morning, I had got up and went down to the marathon and gotten some eggs and some breakfast meat and stuff to cook that morning. Filled up the blazer and then came home, started coffee, and Todd was still in bed at that point. He got up and I gave him the receipts for his medicines, prescriptions, and the last couple days' receipts that I had spent. He got very angry with me because I hadn't recorded them in his checkbook and told him about them sooner. And he was screaming at me about that I went downstairs and woke the boys up. I think it was probably 10 maybe, and the boys that they could go to the mall, and I gave them some money for lunch or breakfast if they wanted. And that Dad and I needed to talk about some things. I went back upstairs. I didn't remember if I started a load of laundry then or if it was a little bit later. But I went back upstairs. I made Todd some breakfast and told him I was going to send the boys to the mall, and then we could talk about everything. I was going to be going to my sister's to stay for a little bit, and so I made him breakfast, and he took his medicines. We really didn't discuss all that much more. And he sat down, watched some hunting program in the living room. I did some laundry and some dishes, and came back upstairs and had to read the instruction booklet for my son is on special prescription that you have to enroll on the computer and answer questions, and that I guess monthly. So we were going to get back his blood work, going to get his blood work done on Monday. So wanted to get it all in the computer, end of it done on Sunday. I must have fallen asleep. I was laying on our bed reading the book. I took a little nap. And when I got up, Todd had asked me something to drink. I went to the kitchen and was loading the dishwasher and washing up his breakfast dishes, and I got some juice. And he took some medication, and I told him I was going downstairs to do some laundry, deleted section. So I restarted the laundry because I still needed, I restarted the laundry then because it smelled. So I restarted it, and then Todd was yelling at me, and then all of a sudden I heard him scream. And then I went running up the stairs, and there was fire from our bedroom to his recliner, and he was on fire. And the whole upper body, and his whole upper body, there was fire and smoke. I couldn't see him really well, and I just turned and ran out the door and jumped in the van because I didn't know how I would get anybody, except I would go over to Mike and Connie's, and I backed up, and then I seen Todd in the yard, and I got out to try to help him get the fire off of him. Before that, I heard something in the house, boom.
I'm going to have you go ahead and read the last two sentences on that page and then continue on to page 2.
Now, in the morning, you ran and got breakfast stuff. About what time? Do you remember? Do you recall what time it was? Around 9 or so.
And if you could go to page 5 and read down then to where there is a J and it says O before the blacked out boxes. Yep, page 5, just start at the top.
You want to start at the top of 5?
Start at the top of 5 and read down to the blacked out area.
The question, and then when you say you ran to the marathon, where's the marathon located at? Answer, in Lawrence. It's okay if I just use J or L or?
Yes, I think we've gone over what J and L stand for, so if you I just say J and then her answer.
Yep, J in Lawrence. Everybody has their local stops, and we cover so much area that it's like, okay, now where's the marathon? And then filled up the truck. You were back home here, and now you're saying that Todd was taking medication. It looks like he, by the sound of it, had taken meds a couple of times. What type of medication was he taking? What kind of issues is he? He had some kind of an ear infection going on. He said that the doctor said that he was really swollen and draining really terrible. And he was feeling sick to his stomach, a lot from that.
I'll have you stop there. And if you could go down to then the last sentence on page 5 and just read that for the jury where it says J.
Oh, now when you say he was angry, he was just yelling, grumbling, or was he?
I'll have you go to page 6 and start at the top.
L, he was screaming. We've been arguing quite a bit, and we were arguing over me leaving to go to my sister's, and J, and this is just some other thing to trip another argument. L, just one more straw. J, now you say you went down to get the boys up. I think you said it was around 10. L, yay. J, then all three boys were here. L, mm-hmm. J, and then they did ultimately get up and leave. L, yeah, I told them that, we were going to be talking about a lot of things today. I told them that they were going to stay here and to go to school, and I was going to go to Aunt Kim's. I told them later on in the day that we would have to meet me so that I could get the blazer from them. And I told them I wasn't sure if I would be at Aunt Kim's when they left or not. And just two, we would talk and figure out where they were supposed to meet and bring the blazer to me, and then I'd bring them home.
I'll have you read the next two lines.
Do you normally drive the blazer? L, yeah.
I'm going to have you go then to page 7 and skip the first J and L, and then I'll have you start them with the third J and read those next two sections.
And then after getting the boys up,
Yes, yes, sir.
and then after getting the boys up, they woke up, came up. Did you cook breakfast? L, no. I told them that I would give them some money to go out to eat because I just didn't know how much arguing or yelling Todd was going to want to do, and I don't like it in front of the boys, and he doesn't mind. So I just asked them if they would just go and that I would let Dad know that they were going. And
I'm going to have you stop there. I'm going to have you flip to page 9 and start the fourth section down where it says L, yeah. If you could read that.
yeah, I just don't like them to hear. That's L. Yeah, I don't just like them to hear all the stuff that he screams.
Wait a minute. I'm going to have you stop. Are you on page 9?
Yes.
Page 9, the fourth line down.
Oh, fourth line down.
Sorry. Yes, thank you very much.
L, yeah, they didn't come up and talk to Todd because he was all angry. And J, now would that be normal for him this lately to be angry and the kids kind of avoiding him? L, well, he's been, yeah. J, how long has this been going on? L, well, I don't know. For this summer, it was a lot, and then it kind of tapered off, and then this winter, it has been quite a bit.
I'm going to have you stop, then go down 4, go to the J that says, now was Todd aware? And if you can read from there to the bottom of the page.
J, was Todd aware that you were going to go to your sister's and stay? L, we talked about that Saturday. J, and it's basically you just getting away from him. Was that his reaction on Saturday? L, well, we had a few different reactions. He wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to take the boys, and I told him that there was no way I could because, they had to stay in school, and, I wasn't going to uproot everyone because, move them all into my sister's. That would be just too much. Now you guys have been talking about divorce, or is it just for the last couple of years, really?
I'm going to have you go to the next page and then go ahead and just start at the top.
J, and it's L. A couple of months ago, I made up my mind for sure that I was going to, and had paperwork and had it all filled up, and I had already showed it to him and J, and what was his reaction then? L, he told me to take the blazer and go and get the couple expletives out, and then he told me that we could work things out. He could change if I could change. And J, now he has always been angry and violent, or has he always been angry and violent, or is this something that's new? L, yeah, no, he's always been, and he just kind of comes and goes in waves, I guess. J, is he a drinker? L, inaudible answer. J, I mean, is he, when he does he drink and then get angry, or L, he used to, but then he's just been more taking his prescription medicines, my sleeping pills, muscle relaxants, pain pills, and a lot of different things lately. Deleted section. L, he had been smoking pot too. J, is that something fairly recent? L, he used to do it. J, or at least you found out recently? L, well, he used to do it, and he had quit for quite a long time. He and his buddy got together, and I find out because I asked him about this job, going to get this job, because his business wasn't paying the bills, and he just wasn't working regularly at all. He would sit around and mope around, and he told me that he couldn't go and apply for the job just yet. And I asked him why. He told me because he had smoked some pot and he had to wait until it was out of his system, because he was sure that with a job like that, they were going to want to test him. And
I'm going to have you go to page 11. And if you could go to then the 4th, 5th, 6th section down, skip the top 4 and then start with the J where it says and.
where it says what?
And the J, and it says and the 5th little section down.
Oh, okay, yes.
And that would be page 11.
J. And if you don't go see them, they don't buy anything. Let's see. We get a little off of this. That's fine. It fills in all the details. Now, so you told him that basically on Saturday had discussed going to stay at your sister's. Did you end up with any fighting? I mean, has he ever hit you? Has he ever beaten you to where you have got prior domestic violence complaints filed? L, inaudible. J, basically, it was one of those you just took the beating and didn't say anything. L, inaudible. J, you have to answer yes or no. L, yes. J, yeah, I know. I realize this is difficult, but gathering all of the information, my primary role is to determine what caused the fire in the events of the day. And obviously there's been a lot going on that you've been putting up with for quite a while, but you've never called the police on him for hitting you. L, my friend called the police a few weeks ago, like around Thanksgiving time. But see, we lived in Portage, and somebody called the police back then, and when we were sitting down with the police officers individually, I was making a report of what happened. He came out with the male police officer and told me that I had a lot to think about. He said that he wasn't going to go to jail by himself and that we would both go. And I asked him why. And the police officer said, well, your husband said that you hit him also, so we have to take both of you in. And so they explained it all to me, and I didn't want to go to jail and have the kids, go through all of that. So I didn't finish the report, and I've never made a complaint against him since then because of that. J, now the friend, you say a friend of yours called back about Thanksgiving?
I'll have you go to page 12 and just read then the top 3.
Oops. Top 3 sections?
Yes, please.
L, yes, and J, was that this past Thanksgiving? L, yeah.
And then I'm going to have you go down to the bottom 3rd where the J and start with the part that says, and now he took.
J, and now he took his medications and then began watching hunting programs. About what time was that? Was that all around 10, 11 with get up and the kids left? L, yeah. J, and then from there, you went down to do some laundry. L, yes. J, how many loads of laundry? I mean, how long were you downstairs?
I'm going to have you flip to page 13, and if you could read all the sections that are not blocked out.
L, I folded laundry. I was putting Christmas ornaments in the boxes. We have a pool table in the basement, and I had all the boxes laid out and was just puttering. J, basically staying away from him. L, yeah, we did that a lot. J, and then about what time would you say you were back upstairs when you were going to read the instructions on your son's medication? L, maybe around noon or so. J, and then you said you think you were reading the book? L, it's a folder type of pamphlet of information. It's, I pledge, it's called for acne medication, because it's a really harmful drug if you don't do everything right. And J, and then you doze off, and about what time did you get up? L, I really don't know. J, now you just woke up on your own, or did you wake up because he was yelling? L, no, I remember hearing him down in the basement doing something, and when I got up, though, he was back in his recliner in the living room upstairs. And he asked me for something to drink when I had gotten up. And so I went in, got him something to drink, did some dishes, and...
Maybe you flip to page 14. Start with the sixth section down with L, where it says and ... O.
L, and when I came back upstairs, when I got him the juice too, I made a fire for him then too in the fireplace. He said today would be a good day to have a fire in the fireplace. So, J, now, L, I made a fire in the upstairs fireplace. J, okay, now when you say upstairs, is that ... L, the main floor? J, this level here is upstairs. And then when you say you heard him downstairs, that would... L, we had a fire place downstairs also. J, in the basement. L, but we kept all of the wood downstairs. J, okay, but like I said, there was a basement, a fireplace on the basement walkout level. L, yes.
I'm going to have you go to the next page on page 15. And about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the seventh one down, J, and then.
J, and then he said it'd be a good day for a fire. L, J, is there any reason he didn't build the fire? L, no, he just asked me to. Sometimes he'd ask me to, sometimes he'd ask the boys to. My sons were pretty good at making a fire. He taught them how to make a pretty good fire in the fireplace too.
I'm going to have you go to the next page, page 16. Go ahead and just read from the top down to the blacked out portion.
J, just looking, and then from here, you were talking about that you went up, that Todd had asked for something to drink. That's L. J, is there any reason he couldn't get up and get a drink himself? L, sometimes he was pretty groggy from his medication, and his stomach had been upset, and that's just Todd. I mean, when somebody else is here, somebody else gets stuff for him. J, now this medication he's taking for his ear infection, is that some kind of antibiotics or something? L, there was an inhaler, there was a liquid, and then there was a pill. I don't know, he told me that the liquid was the antibiotic, but when I got to the pharmacy, they didn't have any at Rite Aid and Paw Paw, and they wouldn't be able to fill it for a few days. I asked them, I said, well, is this the antibiotic? They told me no. They told me what it was, and I said, well, can't I just buy something over the counter to get him through until I get something? And they said, yes, it's just a decongestant was all that was with antihistamine in it. So the next day on Sunday, or no, on Saturday, I picked that up for him.
I'm going to have you go to page 19. And on this one, it appears you're kind of describing the floor plan on the first half. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm going to have you go down about halfway down the page with the L that starts with yeah. If you could read from there and just those few lines down to the blacked out portion.
L, yeah. And then the living room, and then this end right here, there was a pantry, mudroom, laundry room. But we didn't have laundry up there yet. It was just storage. And then the kitchen and dining room were all one room. Between the dining room and the living room, there was just a half wall. And Todd has his oil lamp and candles burning on that half wall. J, and they would have been burning that day. L, they were, because I had complained that it smelled bad in there.
I'm going to have you go to page 20 and just read the top two lines that are not blacked out.
J, now with the furnace, is it an oil furnace? L, mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have you go to the next page, page 21. If you could read the top, start at the top.
L, it was when we first moved here, so it would have been 90 or 91, 92, somewhere in there. And then we moved out here in 96, so J, that's my next question. How long have you lived here? L, here in this house, only 3 years, but in Lawrence, 96. J, and I take it this house was built in that last 3 years? L, Todd built this house, yeah.
I'm going to have you stop there, and if you could go down to the L, about a third of the way down, it starts with
L, he had someone who was a builder come in and lay out the plumber. He had someone from the furnace place lay out and help with the ductwork and put the furnace in. He had hired someone to do the shingles on the roof because he didn't like being on his knees like that. And on the electric, somebody hooked that up. He put it all there, but they inspected it, and
I'm going to have you stop there, and if you could go to page 23 and start at the top of the page.
J. Now during the morning, or should I say, let's talk about now the half wall divides the kitchen and the family room area. What kind of oil lamps were on there? L. Just one was fragranced. It was a little plastic thing that always said it was childproof because you. J. Is it one of those little, like an incense? L. With a wick in it, and it has a smell. It was vanilla. You can open the cap up, the thing pops up. You light that thing, and it's got a little metal thing with a wick. And so it's just it's not like a big hurricane lamps. L, no, but we had one of those blown glass for oil also with a wick in it. J, now the scented one, was that one of those like an air wick or one of those that has just a small container? L, it's just a small container, but I don't know what kind it was. Just that it was. J, do you know where it came from? Is that something he purchased or something that? L, yeah, and he had the oil too. J, how big, on the smallest one, how big of a container would you say that was? 1 cup, 2 cups? L, I don't know, like maybe a baby bottle, the smaller kind? J, I'm not familiar with that. L, like a deletion. L, 4 ounces. Thanks. She has a new grandbaby. L, familiar with those sizes. Now the blown glass one is set up for an oil lamp. L, yeah.
I'll have you go to the next page.
J, it has a wick. L, yes. J, did it have the twisty thing for raising and low? L, no. J, okay. L, it's just decorative more. I didn't understand how those things could. It's just a little bitty glass plug that holds the J. Oh, like a glass bead that sits on top and then the wick comes up through it. L, yeah. J, and how big was this one? L, not terribly. J, I mean, was it? L, like? J, 4 ounces, 8 ounces? L, more than the small one, but not maybe just like double, maybe like 8 ounces or something? J, and then there's just the 2 of these? L, yeah. J, and then what type of candles? L, just scented candles. J, are they big candles or are they like little tea light candles? L, no, just in a glass jar, small, maybe votive size or something. J, about how many of those were going? L, one that I seen.
I'm going to continue on to page 25.
J, and then both. L, it was on the bar, on the kitchen counter, where he was doing bills in the morning. And then there was, I'm sorry, the kitchen and dining room were separated only by a bar.
And I'm going to have you just skip those next few paragraphs. Go to the L that says, not that I can think of. Start there.
That says what?
Not that I can think of. Just skip the next 3 sections.
L, not that I can think of. I just know our furnace was, had to be bled out again in the last couple of days, but not that day. J, so you say the furnace wasn't bled on that day? L, no. J, now the furnace is an oil furnace. How often have you had to bleed this? Do you know? Do the bleeding of it? L, well, I think he did it like Saturday night. Last winter, we had to have fields come out a couple times, and Todd thought maybe we had maybe water in the fuel. But apparently, when they set it up, they didn't put the tubing all the way down like it should have been, or it was just too close or something. He said somehow there was air getting in or something to one of those tubes, and he just had to go down, open a thing, and there was a little hose, and then he could just bleed through it. J, now if he had to bleed it like that, did he end up with oil on the floor? L, yeah. J, that's kind of makes a mess. L, yeah, and kitty litter we put down there sometimes. And J, yeah, that's one of the problems with oil. It's great for heat and stuff, but it's a little messy to work with if you have a problem.
I'm going to have you go to the next page. On the second section, can you start with under the J, or what do you think?
The top of the page, L, is unintelligible. I was afraid to death of propane. He wanted to put up propane. He wanted to put propane in here. I wouldn't have propane. J, any opinions in your mind? What do you think happened to the cause of the fire? I mean, have you had any kind of problems or something that you would think is going on, or what do you think caused the fire? L, I feel like maybe Todd yelled at me once during the day and told me that no one else would ever have me. And I think that maybe he meant for both of us too. I don't think I'm supposed to be here. J, did he say anything about killing himself or killing you? L, he has in the past. That's why I went up to go see about getting a divorce, because he told me a couple months ago that God was testing him to see which one of us was supposed to go, and that he had brought up his shotgun after hunting one day and was cleaning it, and I knew, I'd seen it out of the corner of my eye when he walked up the stairs, that the gun was cocked, and he had his cleaning stuff in his hand. He came over and stood right behind me when the counter was in the dining room, and he pointed it, but it was not, I could see in the computer screen that the barrel was not pointed straight at me, but he stood there, and he just said behind me, he said, "I'm really sorry to have to do this, Linda." And then I turned around and I looked at him, and he just laughed at me and said, I should have seen my face because I looked really scared, and that he was just messing with me. And that's when I decided to take some legal steps and talk to my sister and made arrangements. J, and about how long ago was this? L, November.
I'm going to have you then jump to page 27, start at the top.
J, was the furnace working that day? L, yes. J, now when you came upstairs, now you said you could hear him yelling, and then it turned to screaming. What was he yelling at that point? Was he just, L, that's when he was yelling at me that nobody else would ever. J, has he ever said flat out that he was going to kill you? Has he ever threatened to kill you? J, in those words, did he say anything on this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, anything about going to kill himself or? J, that's no. L, not this weekend, I'm sorry. J, okay, yeah, I know, people aren't used to. L, did he say, I'm sorry? He didn't say anything about killing himself, but he did say about our bills, how much we owed his sisters and his mom and the mortgage and everything, and that we didn't have enough life insurance on both of us. You know, it'd take both of our life insurance policies to take care of everything.
I'm going to stop you there and have you go to page 28. About a little over halfway through the page on J, and it says, and now you came up the stairs.
J, and now you came up the stairs. Where was Todd at? L, when I came around the corner from the stairway to the living room, there was a lot of fire between our bedroom door and his recliner, and he was more closer to our bedroom, and there was just a fire and a lot of smoke, but there was no fire there was a point in the living room where it was like it wasn't between our bedroom and
I'm going to have you stop there because I want you to read that sentence again. After you said there was a point in the living room where it was like, if you could then read that again.
There was a point in the living room where it was like it was between our bedroom and his recliner, but nothing on this side of it. J, nothing on this side coming back towards the kitchen, dining room, and the stairwell. L, kitchen, dining room, nothing.
I'm going to have you go to the next page. You could start then with the fourth section down, J, then that way.
J, then that way we can sketch the floor plan. The flames that you saw, where was the fire at? Was it on the ceiling, on the furniture, on the floor? L, I could see Todd's legs. The chair was on fire, and then there was a little bit of fire on the floor. And then there was a lot of fire over by the bedroom. I couldn't tell if it was him or if it was the wall or what it was. G.
I'm going to have you skip that. I don't know who G is, so I'll have you skip that and just go to the next one.
L, he was covered.
I have skipped the G and then go to L.
L, fire just completely covered. J, now how did you go out? Which way did you go? L, I ran out this front door And J, out the front door, is that the same way he came out? L, I don't know where he came out at. There's a U in there for a different.
Go ahead and skip that.
Yeah. L, when I came out through, I don't remember closing the door, but I heard the door slam. I mean, it just went whoosh. And J, and that's when the door slammed. J, now, when you came outside, what did you see as far as smoke and fire? I mean, when you first came out, what did you do? L, it was just black. I ran towards the side of the house and I seen a bunch of smoke. And so I ran and I got in the van because I didn't have no way to call anybody unless I got to the neighbors. And I didn't have shoes on. So I thought for a second I'd run through the horse pasture, but then I thought I should drive the van.
And I'm going to have to go to page 30 and read that for me, please.
J, and then you say you see smoke. Was the smoke coming out of doors, windows, or just through the roof? L, I don't even remember. I just know that I seen smoke, but I didn't even remember where it was. It seemed like it was on, I remember looking up at some point and seeing a bunch of black smoke, but I don't remember at what point that was. J, and then you jumped in the van, and did you actually drive out in the van? L, I had backed up, but then I seen Todd, so I pulled forward real quick and jumped out to see if I could help him. But he wouldn't lay down. He was trying to pull his pants and socks off, and so I screamed at him and told him to lay down, and J. And then how did the fire department did you ultimately make a call to the fire department? L, no, when I was with Todd down here, because I couldn't get the van back up, because it's so muddy over here, we don't have gravel over here. And I pulled over here to try to stop and help him. Then I realized I couldn't, and I had to get somebody to help us. So I jumped back in the van, but I couldn't back up. So usually we go down to the driveway, because it's real sandy right here in front of the house, and get going fast and get back up. But then I see him laying over there, so I jumped out of the van, ran over to him. He wasn't on fire anymore, and then I seen neighbors come up, and I was just screaming at them to call 911. J, now whereabouts was he laying? Unintelligible. L, over on the J, between here and where the driveway goes around? Yeah, L, yeah.
I'm going to have you go to page 31 and just read the top paragraph.
J, and then you say the neighbors then pulled in? L, yeah. Then, while I was laying on him trying to keep his mouth open and keep him breathing, then another neighbor got there and said that he was a medic. I didn't realize who it was at first. And they pulled me away from Todd, started checking him over, and they got that boat that's over there from somewhere. I don't even know where that was. They put Todd in that and then drug him away from the house farther, over here somewhere. And the paramedics then finally got here, and it seemed like it took them forever to get here. And I don't know who got here first. I was just right there.
I'm going to have you flip to page 54. You can start with the third line down.
J, now you talked about oil lamps and a candle on the half wall. L, yeah, there. This had all Christmas decorations and a little oil lamp. J, and you said there was two of, do you remember where they were positioned? I mean, just evenly spaced so they look nice, or was one closer to Todd's chair and one closer to this end here? J, and then how about the candle? L, the candle was on the bar. J, oh, over here? L, where he was doing the bills that morning, we had a table right here in the corner that had a poinsettia on it, and we had a big dining room table here.
I'm going to have you stop and go to page 56. You could go about halfway down the page where there's an L and it says, yeah, I came right up, and start from there.
L, yeah, I came right up and I ran around this side here. J, so through the kitchen and around, how far into the living room did you get? L, I just got right between the fireplace and somewhere in here. J, okay, then that's basically between just inside the door opening, and then yesterday you said that you could see that the fire was like from the master bedroom to the recliner, that half. L, the recliner was all on fire. There was a big bunch of fire right by our bedroom door, and I could see Todd's. J, okay, so he was actually over by the bedroom door. L, closer to the bedroom door, kind of. I don't know. Kind of in between our bedroom door and the fireplace, kind of. I don't know, somewhere in between, like here, but I could see fire all the way back to, I mean, it was just.
I'll have you go to the next page.
J, was he coming towards you, towards out? L, I couldn't tell. J, now I know, I realize this is difficult, but when you saw the flames, the recliner, could you still see the chair? L, I don't remember. J, or was it just a big ball of flames? L, I just kind of glanced, J, how about the fire in between? Was the whole room on fire, or did it look like a concentration of fire over here? L, it looked like a bunch of fire over here, by the recliner. L, and then there wasn't much fire between, and then there was a lot of fire over here. J, and then when you took off, you just went out the front door. L, inaudible. J, okay, when you went out the front door, you said yesterday, you said you ran out to the van. Where was the van parked at? L, parked right in front of the house. I mean, we drove right up to, the contractors made a mistake. They weren't supposed to carry the driveway as far up as they did, so we took advantage of it. J, so you pull up right by the front porch there? L, yeah. J, now what were you wearing? I mean, did you have clothes on or still in your jammies from? L, no, I had on some pants and a sweater. J, now did you have keys for the van with you?
I'll have you go to page 58, if you could read that page.
We always leave, L, again, we leave our billfold and our keys in the vehicles. I don't, but Todd always does. He always brings mine in and put them in the drawer in the kitchen. But the boys had my vehicle, and so when the boys were taking off in the morning, I just took my purse and threw it over into the van. But Todd always kept keys in, always inaudible about that. I hated it. J, okay, and then yesterday explained that you went to the van, you were going to try to get help, and then where did you drive? You were parked in front of the house. L, I backed up, but then I seen Todd, so I pulled up this way and stopped. J, and this way, you're pointing up here towards the north. Now he came out, you don't know what door he came out. L, he was just in the side yard here. J, okay, up by the front of the house, or was he all the way around the side? L, he was closer to the front towards that rock pile. J, okay, then what happened? L, I pulled the van up real quick and jumped out, was screaming at him to lay down. He was trying to get his pants off, and I kept trying to get up and reach and grab him, his pants. He just wouldn't stay still. J, okay, and from then, and then from the L, and then he laid down. I looked at him and I thought, oh my God, I got to get him help. So I went back to the van and I tried to back up, but I couldn't back up because this is too muddy. So I thought if I pulled down here real fast, and I couldn't see Todd when I backed up, and I pulled down here because I was going to try back up to get a running start, and I couldn't. So I jumped back out and ran to Todd, and he was laying right there in here someplace, and I just laid on him and Jay. And your idea was to back up down to the flats here and then try to get a running start up the hill. L, well, usually we could if we got right in here because it's all sandy, and we could back around. J, just take kind of a zoom up the slippery hill. L, but I wasn't thinking. I mean, with my blazer, I could do it. With Corey's car or with the van, it's kind of like our pickup truck was. It's just so heavy, I guess. And J, it is a full-size van, or L, it's a big conversion van. At some point, my neighbors got here. I seen the neighbors, and I'm screaming at them to call somebody. I laid on Todd, and I'm trying to keep his airway open, and I could tell that he was still breathing. And J, which neighbors were that?
I'm going to have you stop there. I'm going to have you go to the next page, page 60. And I believe there's just one section that's not blacked out, if you could read that.
J, now when you were trying to back up, and then you said you saw Todd come out, and then he laid down, you had to jump back in the van and try to get out. That's when you got stuck? Was that after you got back in?
I'm going to have you go to page 61. Near the bottom section on J, where it says, and then you were.
Yes, J. And then you were downstairs prior to discovering the fire. Yesterday, you talked about how that you were downstairs and that L, yeah, I was in the laundry room. J, and that you were in the laundry room when you heard Todd start screaming. L, yeah. Prior to that, I was back out in the living room in the basement. There was a big, huge game table too, because I was folding laundry on that table.
And I'm going to have you stop there, go to the next page on page 62, and start at the top for me, please.
Jay, now you said yesterday you guys had been arguing that he had been yelling at you, and then the yelling turned to screaming. Was it he stopped yelling? Was there a pause? L, yeah, he just stopped yelling, and then I don't know, just moments later. J, for how long? Was it, just L, just a couple of sentences, and then a pause, and then a scream. J, could you understand anything that I was saying? When he first started screaming, was he yelling fire, yelling get out? I know these are kind of meticulous, because what I'm looking at is trying to reconstruct. You've been real helpful with where the fire was located, and I'm looking at a time frame as to how the fire grew from wherever it started into what it did. And the time frame is an important factor. L, he told me nobody else would ever have me. J, but that obviously was part of his controlling nature of trying to control you. L, crying. J, there we go. How long had you been downstairs doing laundry and stuff before you heard one, the yelling stop, and him start screaming? Because I know you said you'd been down, got the boys, did laundry, had been up and down a couple times. The last time you went down, about how long was it You were in the basement before the screaming and the fire was discovered. L, I don't know. I folded. I don't even remember what exactly. Folded laundry. I went down. I don't know. I was just kind of putting around down there trying to avoid. I used the bathroom. I checked the laundry. I don't know, maybe.
I'll have you go to the next page, page 63, please.
L, maybe around 15 or 20. I don't think it was a half hour. I don't. J, and J. And then this would have been after you talked about you were reading. L, right. J, the book with the instructions for your son's medication. L, well, then I took a nap when I was reading that booklet, and I got Todd something to drink, and I went down, and I don't know, it may have been longer. I know I put some more Christmas decorations away at some point down there.
I'm going to stop you and have you go to page 64. If you could read the last 3 sections at the bottom, starting with J. Have you ever?
J, have you ever had problems with the fireplace? Now, it's a wood-burning fireplace. L, yeah. J, is there a glass on the front or the screen?
I'll have you go to page 65 and continue there.
L, no, there's just a screen. You know, poles. J, okay. Oh, okay, yep. L, we went to try and get the glass for it and found out we had to special order it because it was an oddball size or something. And J, you ever had any problems with now? Well, let me back up a little bit. With the fireplace upstairs, is there a stone hearth or ceramic tile or something? L, there was a flashing sill that he hadn't put the, we had in the, all right, at the base of the stairs in the basement, there was a big, huge linen closet. Right there was a wall here, and this was just a linen closet, and under, and there were blankets and sheets from ceiling to about knee high. And then underneath was all the tile that we were going to put in on the floor in the front of both fireplaces, but there was just metal flashing on the floor. J, okay, just metal flashing where the hearth should go. L, yes. J, and then carpet, and then no carpet in that area. L, no.
And I'm going to stop you there, Dean, if you can just read the last entry on that page with L.
L, never a log rolling out because we had a nice grate in both of them. But we've had poppers every now and then, but not, I mean, like if you don't close the screens sometimes, but nothing.
I'm going to have you go to page 66, start at the top.
J, how about over by the master bedroom? You said that he was over there and there was a lot of fire there. Do you use any space heaters, electric portable heaters? L, we used to. We used to have an kerosene heater up there on the floor, and when we were, first working on it, and that, J. Okay, when you were building, L, yeah. L, but we didn't have, they're in the shed or in the semi, one of the two, we didn't. J, how long has it been since you've used a kerosene heater in there? L, oh, since last winter.
I'm going to stop you if you could go to the top of page 67.
L, one of the Mathaneys, I'm sure. Those are the only people I remember seeing when I was laying on Todd. That's when Mr. Masali came and then announced something about being a trained medic. And then he told me his name, but I don't remember hearing. I just remember hearing that I'm a trained medic, and then.
And then I'm going to have you go to page 68. And after the blacked out section, if you could read from there, just the next 4 sections.
J. And then electricity, of course, was on at the time. You don't. L. J. Have any gas? L. No. J. And now, have you had problems with the wiring since you built the house? Tripping breakers, plugs that you plug in and nothing happens? L. No. He made sure everything was on plenty of circuits.
I'm going to stop you there. If you can go to the next page, page 69. About a third of the way down on J, if you could start with all right.
J. All right. How about problems? You said the furnace that every now and then you have to bleed the lines because they get air in it. L. Yeah. J. L. I'm not sure if it was because of the air. I know that Todd had said that that might have been one of the problems, because the way the copper tubing is supposed to come down inside of the tank, and he said that the guy was real ding-a-ling and that he did it the first time around. And then someone from Bangor, so he had someone else come out, but I have one winter, we had them come out like 6 times just from Fleetwood's, and then he called through Fields a couple times, and then he figured it out himself how to.
And maybe skip down to the last sentence of the page and read that, continue on to the next.
J. About how often this year, we'll say this winter. L. We haven't used the heat hardly at all this winter. We had. L. Yeah, and it's been so warm, so it doesn't kick on much. And with him putting the insulation in the attic, I don't even remember whether it was this spring or this summer, but it just.
And I'm just going to have you skip down then to the 5th one up where it says J, now the candle's burning.
J. Now the candle's burning. We talked about the small oil lamps on the half wall, and then the candle that was on the bar. L. Bar. J. And that would have been it. L. Yeah. J. How about smokers?
I'm going to have you go to page 71 at the top.
L. No, not ever in the house. My mom can't even smoke in the house.
I'll have you continue on.
J. Now, who's the smoker? Is Todd a smoker? No, never really. He just occasionally, if he went hunting with all the guys, he'd have L. Oh, what do you call a celebratory cigar or something? But no. J. You don't think smoking is the cause of the fire? L. No, definitely not. We don't even own any ashtrays.
I'm going to stop you there. If you could go to page 74. And I'll have you then start with the third, or the third section down, any flammable liquids.
Start where?
The second J from the top of the page. So it would be like the 3rd line down.
Okay. Yeah. The L. Yeah. J. Where would
Let's
that?
go up a little higher. Start out with any flammable liquids, please.
Oh, okay. Yep. J. Any flammable liquids stored inside the house? Any gasoline, kerosene? I think you mentioned that with the oil lamps, you had some lamp oil. L. Yeah. J. Where would that have been stored at? L. Underneath the sink in the kitchen. Occasionally in our bedroom, Todd would leave the bottle on the nightstand or by the nightstand. You know, if he had filled it up. In the furnace room, when he'd bleed it out, he didn't always take out and dump it back into the tank. Sometimes there would be a 2-liter bottle where he had, done that. J. But that would be left in the L basement. J, furnace room. L, furnace room, yeah. J. Now, when he bleeds it out normally, is that it? He just bleeds it into a bottle or something?
And I'm going to have you go ahead and go to page 76 and just read me the single sentence, the second sentence down.
The second line
Second
down?
sentence starting, it's L, under L, starting with Todd.
L, Todd and I were here, the only ones home.
I'm going to have you now flip to page 78. And I'm going to have you skip the J section, the one at the top, the J at the top, and just start with the L.
L, I don't think we had insurance though. Todd told me that he didn't pay the insurance and it was due in December. J, and now is that the homeowners? L, yes, and L, they have to have investigated everything anyways, but I don't think that, see, we had gotten really behind on our bills and our mortgage, and we're in foreclosure over this summer. We had borrowed against the life insurance. Todd borrowed $25,000 from his sister overseas to buy some gloves for his business.
I'm going to
And
stop you there. And I'm going to have you flip over to page 81. And go ahead and just start then with the paragraph at the top, the L. Perfect. Yeah, honestly, we don't have that many pages, Your Honor. We're on 81 out of 90. So if the court wants, we can just finish up these 9. And I don't think there's everything on all 9 pages.
start with the
Yes, please.
L. I know that Todd's mom can confirm this, that if you had to ask her, but last year I had asked her to please not loan Todd any more money, that it just kept him from going out and, you know, us being self-sufficient. And he owes her I owe her a great sum of money. So when he asked her this last time to borrow money, she sent him in the direction of his sister because she didn't have any more money to loan him. I think that we owe Sandy several $1,000s, and
I'm going to have you stop, and if you could skip down just a few lines to the L, I think it was.
L, I think it was $30,000.
I'll have you continue there.
J, and then he's into his sister for 25. L, and his brother for 5. And that was one of the things that he mentioned recently, that between the two of us, life insurance policies, we might have enough to take care of everybody. But you know, Todd has been depressed off and on, but he refused to take any medication since we lived on the other side of Lawrence, because our insurance company dropped his prescription insurance because Todd said it was because he was on antidepressants and they felt he was, you know, so he refused to take any antidepressants ever again. He got mad at me when I find out that I went on some recently. Asked me what the heck kind of stress did I have. I didn't owe anybody any money. It was him that, so, you know, his mom and I had talked about him being depressed, you know, off and on.
I'll have you go to page 82.
Start at the top.
If you can start at the last sentence on the top paragraph of J, is there anything?
J, it was in the room.
Oops, I'm sorry. Top paragraph, J, last sentence.
J, it wasn't fire coming out of the fireplace.
I'm going to start you again. Go up to the top, J.
Oh, top J.
Paragraph, last sentence.
J, he was obviously on fire. Is there anything up there that could start the fire? L, the fireplace was the only thing I could think of, but it wasn't. I ran up almost to the fireplace. The fire came from our bedroom direction towards me, towards the fireplace, so it wasn't the fireplace. I know that it wasn't the fireplace. J, It wasn't fire coming out of the fireplace or the pipes or along the ceiling or anything. It was L, no, it. J, it was in the room. L, I came from the basement, the pipes are there, and the wall, and J, could he have had fuel on him? L, I took him juice, I would have smelled it. J, and then when you took him juice, he was sitting in the recliner? L,
I'm gonna stop you there. If you can go to page 83, about a third of the way down, the J that starts with OK.
J, okay, would it be normal for him if he wore clothes, well, let's say Saturday when he was bleeding the furnace, if he had gotten oil on him, would he have worn those same clothes all night? Inaudible. L, no. J, he was more, a little neater than that. Oh, J, he was more, a little neater than that. L, he was a pretty boy. L, if he spilled a tiny bit on him, I mean, yes. L, but not a lot.
I'm going to have you go to page 84 and just read 3 lines for me under about right before the blacked out portion. And L, he had a temper.
L, he had a temper. He had a real bad temper. And you know, he said that he never hit me, but he could bruise me without his fists. I mean, he hit me with a fishing reel one time.
I'm going to have you go to page 85, middle of the page, on L, where it says somebody from work.
L, somebody from work had called to see about getting some concert tickets that I had won. And he got mad because a man called my cell phone. And the police came. I think J, yeah. L, told you that. J.
And I'm going to have you skip down to the very last L paragraph and read that.
L, no, I mean the kids were everything to him. I just can't imagine that, that he would, knowing we don't have insurance, and I mean his sister was supposed to raise the kids, so I don't know. I keep going over this in my mind and trying to figure out, and the only thing I can figure out is if we were both supposed to go. I mean, he told me a long time ago, like...
And I'm going to have you go to the next page and just read the top paragraph.
Around Thanksgiving time, that he'd been, he reads the Bible a lot, and he told me this week that he couldn't divorce me because if a man divorces a woman and even if she gets remarried, or sees someone else or whatever, that the man causes her to commit adultery, then that man is equally responsible for the sin, and so he couldn't divorce me. I had to divorce him in order for it to be right with the Lord. And he told me around Thanksgiving time, well, it must have been earlier in November when I went to the lawyer. It really scared me then, because he had said that he was waiting for a sign from God to see which one of us was supposed to go.
And I'm going to go to have you go to page 89. And under the one paragraph, the J, it says anything else that you can think of.
Okay. J, anything else that you can think of? I realize this is difficult, but trying to put the thing in, and what I'm looking at now is wiring, plumbing, furnace, and trying to put together to come up with a logical explanation of how we got that much fire that fast in the living room, where he's basically upstairs, and and like you said, medication he was on was antibiotics and stuff for ear infection. Would he have been drinking at all that day? Would he have any alcohol in his system? Hell, I don't think so.
And we can stop there, Your Honor.
Morning break, about 15 minutes, jury. Remember to leave your notebooks in your chairs and also not to talk about the case with each other or anyone else. No media, no research of any kind. And sir, you're reminded that you're still under oath. Okay, thank you. Ms. Seiderman?
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions for today.
Mr. Kelly?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Shinsky, your appearance at the Stermer property was for what reason?
I was hired by Farm Bureau Insurance to conduct an investigation into the cause and origin of the fire.
And was that just based on the fact that someone had called and wanted to know the origin and the cause of the fire?
No, it would be very typical in a fire loss that an insurance carrier that covers the property would request an investigation to determine what happened.
Okay. And did you work with you said it was Farm Bureau?
Yes,
Yeah. And so you were on a contract basis with Farm Bureau, is that right?
yeah, they pay our hourly rates. We conduct our investigation. When we're completed, we send the reports, the documentation, and an invoice to Farm Bureau for the work that we did.
Okay. So you're billing Farm Bureau by the hour?
Yes,
And the company that you was working for, was it your company?
no. At that time, it was a company called Kirby Bailey and Associates, which was an independent investigative company.
Okay. And so your credentials were that you were a fire investigator, is that correct?
Yes.
But not an expert, right?
No, I've qualified and testified as an expert many times.
Okay. And do you have a particular specialty in reference to your investigation of fires?
I guess we do a fire investigation, the normal procedures, interview the occupants, homeowner, any witnesses, photograph the exterior, interior, do a scene examination, and then document what you did, the standard fire investigation.
But isn't the main reason why an insurance company would hire an investigator to determine the cause and origin of the fire is?
I'm going to object at this point. We're not entering Mr. Shinsky in as an expert, and so I think we're starting to get into expert questions and expert testimony.
Your Honor, I hadn't said anything about it. So, Mr. Shinsky, when you were retained by the insurance company, tell me, to this jury, exactly what they asked you to do, other than just saying origin and cause of fire, because obviously you spent a great deal of time at the location interviewing Linda Stermer.
Yes.
Now, what do they expect you to do when you go out on one of these retained contracts?
With any of the insurance companies, they would request with any of the companies that we've worked for, they would request a fire investigation, which would include interviews, if necessary, neighborhood canvass, witness interviews, homeowner interviews, photographs, floor plans, what you would do in a complete investigation. And that would be the same for every company that we work for, insurance or otherwise.
So your interviews, would that be interviews of individuals that were not part of the family?
In this case, no, I didn't conduct interviews outside of that.
So who all did you interview?
Linda Stermer,
And she's the only person that you interviewed?
yes,
The only person.
the only one that I can recall.
And in reference to the interviews pertaining to Ms. Stermer, You only communicated that information back to Farm Bureau, is that right?
It would have been in my report that went to Farm Bureau, yes.
You only communicated with Farm Bureau?
Pardon me?
Did you only communicate the information that you received from Ms. Stermer to Farm Bureau?
Possibly with the attorneys for Farm Bureau, if they contacted me regarding the work. But I don't recall any other outside contacts or activity.
Are you sure?
I'm sitting here right now, I can't, yes.
Well, did you have any communications in reference to your investigations with any law enforcement agency?
My first day on the fire scene, if I recall, I was going to look at my photos and didn't this weekend. I forgot about it, just to check the date. I believe I was there my first day, and the state police investigator, Scott Leroy, was there, and I believe there might have been someone from the sheriff's department, and I believe the MSP ran an accelerant canine in the home.
Okay, Mr. Shinsky, I just want you to tell me, based upon your investigation, the assignment that you was given under that contract, did you have some communications in reference to Ms. Stermer with a law enforcement agency outside of the date that you was there interviewing Ms. Stermer?
Objection, Your Honor, I asked an answer.
No, you not answered that.
Did I have a conversation about Mrs. Stermer with law enforcement?
Let me just ask you this. It seems like we're getting a little confused. You're there to interview Linda Stermer pursuant to a contract that you had with Farm Bureau, right?
Correct.
Who at Farm Bureau contacted you?
I was contacted by the agent, or by the adjuster was Rodney Thuma,
Rodney Thuber.
who's now retired from Farm Bureau.
Do you know why he contacted you?
I was a regular investigative company and investigator that would have been on the insurance company's list of approved investigators to handle their investigation.
Had you had business with Rodney Thuber before?
Yes,
How many times?
many times.
Okay. And on most of the times that you had in reference to investigations with Rodney Thuber, you were able to determine that there was fraud involved in reference to the fire that may have been referred to as an arson. Is that correct?
No, I've had all kinds of fires, accidental fraud, lightning. We do the investigation. They have a loss. They call us, do the investigation. And it is what it is when you're done with your investigation.
Okay. Well, are there certain factors that you have as far as your arsenal of information to look for when you go out and perform one of these investigations that's been assigned to you by the insurance company?
Yeah, that would be all of your training, education, seminars, on-the-job training, your schooling, fire investigation experience, your applications and acceptance and approval for certification through the national certification agencies would all be part of your job training and requirements, one, to become certified, and two, to conduct proper fire investigations.
And that's to determine the cause and origin of a fire, right?
Correct, the origin and cause.
So there's a lot of education, a lot of on-the-job training, a lot of workshops, a lot of seminars, a lot of specialty training that you have that would give you the education that's necessary to make valid decisions in reference to an investigation of a fire, right?
Yes,
To make a decision based upon the cause and the origin of the fire, right?
yes.
And how many years have you been doing this?
I went on my first fire as a trooper out of the Niles Post in 1982.
Okay.
And I've worked continuously in the fire investigation training, certification of the state police investigators years ago before the national certifications. I retired in 2003 from the state police, went to work for Kirby Bailey and Associates at that time, Kirby Bailey then became the Raymond Group, had an investigative section, and I work there. I'm now in my 22nd year there, retired as of December 31st of 23, but I'm on part-time basis till I can complete the litigation files that are still open.
You kind of digressed a little bit from what I was really asking, but I'm going to accept that, and I thank you for that in reference to your training. With that, would a layperson, in your opinion, be able to tell you exactly what the cause of a fire is, who has absolutely no training in reference to what you just gave a long list of, that walked in a room, saw the flames in a room, saw a human being on fire? Would you expect that individual to tell you exactly how the fire started?
The layperson would have to conduct a full investigation in order to render that opinion.
Well, isn't it true that on January the 7th, that you, in approximately 72 hours after January the 7th, where there was a fire and a fatality, that you show up on the scene and you expected Ms. Stermer to tell you exactly how the fire started? Isn't that true?
That would be one of the questions you asked, if you had any knowledge of what happened. That's why we do interviews, is to gain information.
There's a difference between your knowledge as a fire investigator, because that's what you was out there to do, was determine the origin and the cause of the fire. But you're interviewing Ms. Stermer, and all she could tell you was that she went up to the stairs and she saw the flames in the room. Isn't that true?
Yes.
So you wouldn't expect any layperson that has none of the skill sets that you have, none of the education that you have in reference to the origin and the cause of a fire, to be able to tell anyone, insurance company, law enforcement officer, unless they specifically saw someone light a match, firecracker, or any factual eyewitness. Without being a factual eyewitness, wouldn't it be absolutely impossible for them to give you an explanation as to how a house burnt down and an individual human being that was in the house caught on fire? Yes or no?
No,
It would not be possible, right?
I don't believe so, no.
Thank you. You referenced to on page 62 of of this interview that let me just make sure that we don't mistake what was on the screen. You have your transcript there, Mr. Shinsky, is that correct? On page 62. And I'll just reference to the 5th line, and that's J, that's you. Is that right? You see it?
Yes, is that the one that starts out?
Yes,
Could-
sir.
Could you
Yes, sir.
understand?
Yes, sir. You asked, could you understand anything that he was saying? I mean, when he first started screaming, was he yelling, fire, yelling, get out? I mean, no, these are kind of, do you see that?
Yes.
Meticulous, because what I'm looking at is trying to reconstruct. So 72 hours after Ms. Stermer had endured one of the worst tragedies that an individual could imagine. But you are,
This is testimony by the attorney.
Your Honor, I'm just cross-examining, and it's my opportunity to cross-examine. May I go? May I finish it? So, Mr. Shinsky, what was it that you wanted her to reconstruct? that you were referring to when you made that statement?
It was a question asking her what her husband was saying. Was he yelling? And it's one of those, she was the witness in the sense that she was in the home at the same time he was. And any of the information that she would have would certainly be valuable in evaluating a time frame. She'd been up and down the stairs by her own information on the interview, upstairs, downstairs. What's the time sequence from when she was downstairs and there was no fire upstairs? She comes upstairs and now the room is full of fire. That time sequence, it takes time for fires to develop. And it isn't a flash at times, depending on what's going on. That question was merely, can she fill in the sequence of events that she best recalled, so that in my brain, analyzing what I have on the fire scene, can determine we go from no fire to a heavily involved fire in 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or maybe she's been downstairs for 4 hours. If I don't talk to her and ask her those questions, how can I ever assess that information?
Okay. So I'll take that as your answer. Then, if we're only talking about that in reference to the fire, why was there so much time spent about the marital relation?
The conversation with problems to find out what's going on in the home. The interview is a general interview on the home, living there, day-to-day routine, day-to-day life, so you can establish this is the normal for the home. And in the conversations with problems and issues, she had voiced issues with her husband and some issues and problems they were having. And it certainly would be good to know what those problems were. I'd ask the questions and she would answer the questions.
I know that, but I'm asking you this question. What did a marital relationship in reference to two parties having disagreements that you took a lot of time impinging upon, what did that have to do with the fire in your investigation?
That's part of the information required to assess all of the information that comes out of the fire, including the scene investigation, any evidence that was collected, and that's standard on all investigations.
Including whether or not you had paid your bills on time, whether or not you had anything that was delinquent, whether or not you had been in bankruptcy or filed bankruptcy. All of that is part of issues that you are assigned to go out and try to obtain from the victim of a fire. Isn't that correct?
No, sir. I've never been directed by an insurance company on what to go look for.
Well, if you're not directed by the insurance company, it's part of what your skill set is, right? It's part of your protocols, right?
My skill set is a fire investigator. I'm retired out of the state police. I spent 25 years investigating all kinds of things, and obtaining information is what we do as investigators.
My point is that you obtained all of this information and then you assess that information to determine whether or not there was any fraud involved in reference to insurance and the fire. Isn't that correct?
That information, well, with the questions when you listed the bankruptcy things, those were her answers. They weren't specifically in the question. I was asking general questions, problems, issues. And yes, investigating fires, you run across accidental fires, we run across arson fires, and you run across fires that could be fraud related. And interviewing is the way you obtain information to make those assessments. And it does not change the process of how you investigate the fire, what documentation you do, how you conduct your actual origin and cause. The background, the interviewing, the witnesses is all part of a standard investigation.
Were you able to verify any information in reference to the finances of Mr. and Mrs. Stermer?
That would not be my job. That would be handled by the insurance carrier.
So you obtained the information in reference to the mortgage, the history of their mortgage. Is that correct? You inquired as to whether or not the house was was under a mortgage. Is that correct?
No, I don't think I asked that.
You didn't?
No. I'd have to go through the transcript. I don't believe I asked that question.
So the issue about the finances, you didn't inquire about that?
No, that's my role would be gather the initial information. That all gets forwarded to the client, in this case, Farm Bureau. I did no legwork, no outside interviews, no follow-up investigation, nothing on the finances, because that would be handled, which is normal, by the insurance carrier.
When you asked Ms. Stermer about money that was owed, did she just volunteer that to you without you prompting it with a question?
I'd have to look at the question because she's the one that explained who she owed money to. I'd have to look at what page we got in the
That's
transcript.
because you want the person that you're interviewing to explain to you questions that you are presenting to them, right?
Right, but I don't recall the specific question that she answered with that information about the money owed to relatives.
Let's go to page 81. So if you go to where it starts out in the middle of the page, L. I know that Todd's mom can confirm this, that if you had to ask her, but last year I asked her to please not loan Todd any more money, that it just kept him from going out and us being self-sufficient. And he owes her I owe her a great sum of money. So when he asked her this last time to borrow money, she sent him in the direction of his sister, because she didn't have any more money to loan him. I think that we owe Sandy several thousands and Now my question is, Mr. Shinsky, that was a response to something that you had to ask her, isn't that correct?
Correct, and that's blacked out in the transcript.
But just
I don't recall the question.
Okay, you don't recall it, but now
It's not in the transcript here, it's been blacked out.
but you recall though that would be part of your interview protocol in reference to your investigation of a fire cause and origin.
Yeah, it wouldn't be unusual.
would.
Wouldn't be unusual to ask questions, but the specific question, I don't know.
But so when I asked you earlier, do you ask and inquire about individuals' finances? You kind of acted like that's not part of what you do, but you do.
Well, that would be part of the general information, yes.
And you would want to know whether or not somebody has a lot of outstanding debts. You would want to know whether or not they got a gambling problem, wouldn't you?
Yep, if they answer the questions and
You would
explain
want
it,
to know
yes.
whether or not they filed bankruptcy in the last 5 years.
Correct.
And you would want to know whether or not their mortgage was paid or not paid timely, wouldn't you?
General information, yes.
You'd want to know whether or not they've had any cars repossessed in the last 5 or 10 years, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I never go into that detail.
What's more deep? Is that any?
Yeah, to go down the list of possible financial, it's what's the condition, is the mortgage paid on time? I don't usually ask about gambling debts.
Well, why don't you, would you just, for the sake of time, would you tell me what all you do ask in reference to the financial backgrounds when you interviewing someone that the insurance company has sent you out to interview for the cause and origin of a fire? Would you please?
Would be, again, general information, who's living in the home, condition of the home, excuse me, as we went through pretty extensively, what was there. Is there a mortgage on the property? Who is the carrier for the mortgage? To be honest with you, I don't ask, is the mortgage on time? Is it paid? I ask the carrier because I'm not doing a financial investigation. And when you ask that question, is there a mortgage? Generally, people will say, yeah, I have a mortgage through so-and-so, and it's current. My role is
Go
general
ahead, give me
information.
the rest of the list.
Pardon me?
The rest of your list.
That would be the list. I mean,
That
I
would be
don't,
it?
about repossessions, gambling debts. I don't go into that on my initial interview.
And you asked about marital relations in reference to what does the two married individuals do on a daily basis. You asked about whether or not they have any arguments. You asked about whether or not they have any fights. You asked about, are there any plans to file a divorce? You asked about whether or not they plan on separating. You asked all those questions, don't you?
I would have asked the question, are there any problems or issues? I
In
don't
what?
go into the specific, are you getting divorced? Are you moving out? Those were things that she forwarded in our discussion.
Well, you said in your interview, you asked her, had he ever harmed her?
After she had relayed information about some of the incidents, the arguing, the yellowing, and as I'm listening to her answers, it would prompt another question to try to figure out where we're at as far as the relationship.
But that's all based upon professional interviewing skill sets that you have been trained to do. Isn't that correct?
I mean, right, standard interviewing.
Yes, but it's a trained process, right?
Yes, there is.
Thank you. Now, you also reference to flammable liquids that you inquired of Ms. Stermer that was on the property. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, that's a very important aspect of an investigation. Flammable liquids or any accelerant that's on the property that's been burned. Isn't that correct?
That would be a standard question as far as any kind of flammables in the location where they would be, with lamp oils, gasoline, kerosene, sheds, garages, some people stored in their homes. That would be a standard question in any investigation. Where are the location of any accelerants that would be fuel that could assist in any kind of a fire, accidental or intentional?
But for the cause of the fire, if you knew that the cause of the fire was from a flammable liquid, an accelerant, and it was known to be on the property based upon the individual's information that was being interviewed, makes your job a lot easier, and it makes your case a lot quicker case to close. Isn't that correct, as far as the cause and origin? I'm asking the question. He can say yes or no.
The question I assume on accelerants would be a standard question that I would ask. And I did not know anything about accelerants involved in the fire as the cause of the fire at all at the time I conducted my interview.
But you asked about it,
I
right?
asked about it on every single fire scene. Are there accelerants on the
I
property?
just want to know about the Stermer case.
Yes, I asked her about that.
You asked her about it.
Are there accelerants on the property?
Yes. And she told you that there was kerosene that was used in the house with lamps. Isn't that what she told you?
She indicated there was a kerosene heater that they had used the winter before in the living room area. And she talked about oil lamps, 2 small oil lamps on the half wall. And then she also talked about a candle on the half wall.
Well, the lamps, were they lamps that they had to use fuel?
Yes,
Did she tell you what type of fuel it was?
she called them oil lamps.
And you didn't inquire any further to determine whether or not what the oil was?
No, she said they were oil lamps. And generally, oil lamp would be different than gasoline, fuel oil, or other fuels. You wouldn't want fuel oil in your oil lamps because with fuel oil or other heavier oils, you get thick black smoke. If you're using a scented candle, you certainly don't want it pumping out thick black smoke because of the kind of fuel. Lamp oil is a much lighter accelerant or ignitable fuel, as the terms are called in today's world.
So can you tell me what the flammable oil was that she told you that was in the house?
Lamp oil.
Is lamp oil flammable?
Yes. And that was her description of it.
Do you know just buying something off the counter, is it called lamp oil?
Yes, you can buy lamp oil.
Right.
You have buy with tiki torches, you can buy the containers for your yard. It would be lamp oil, which is a lighter fuel.
And it's used to start a fire, right?
It could be by an arsonist.
Yeah. So on page 74 of your interview, do you see that on J?
Which
J, you asked the question, any flammable liquid stored inside the house. And then you specifically asked any gasoline, kerosene. And you say, I think you mentioned that with the oil lamps, you had some lamp oil, right?
correct.
And you asked, where would that have been stored at? Right.
Yes.
And the answer was underneath the kitchen. Underneath the sink in the kitchen, correct?
Correct.
And she further stated that in our bedroom, Todd would leave the bottle on the nightstand or by the nightstand if he had filled it up. Is that correct?
Yes.
In the furnace room, when he'd bleed it out, he didn't always take it out and dump it back into the tank. Sometimes there'd be a 2-liter bottle where he had, done that. And you asked, but that would be left in the basement? And she would respond, in the basement. And you asked, in the furnace room. And she says, furnace room on. And you ask, now when he bleeds it out normally, is that it? He just bleeds it into a bottle or something? And the response is, yeah. Is that a yes to you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as an investigator, looking for the cause and the origin, knowing this, and you didn't dispute it, you could actually put in your report that that could have been a possible cause of the fire. Isn't that correct?
No, she's describing fuels.
But you're looking for answers about what's in the house, right?
Correct.
You're trying to find information about flammable liquids that's in the house, right?
Yes.
And this is not as an expert. This is as nothing but an investigator, right?
Well, as an investigator with fire experience.
Yeah, but-
And that's, you would discuss the fuels. And that, again, with the fuels and the differences when we talk about the furnace would be fuel oil is completely different fuel than lamp oil.
But just, Mr. Shinsky, tell this jury, what can either one of these oils do to a house if a match is lit to it?
Well, depending on the oil, the thicker the oil, we're getting, okay. The oils will burn if ignited, but in order to ignite it, you have to heat the oil above its flash point, which is the temperature that the oil can give off enough vapors to ignite, and then you have enough heat for it to reach its ignition temperature so that it can ignite. Gasoline's flash point is minus 45 degrees Fahrenheit, so anything above 45, you have enough vapors that can ignite. Now, if we get into fuel oil or diesel fuel, the flash point on it is about 325 degrees. So that you would have to hold the match and hold it and hold it and hold it until you heat the fuel up enough to vaporize with the right gas air mix for that match to actually ignite. I mean, I can walk into a puddle of diesel fuel, lay a flaming flare into the middle of the puddle and walk away without any worry that it's going to blow me up. The different fuels react different ways. Yes, they will burn once ignited.
That's the only answer I was looking for.
Well, we have different, we're different.
But my only question is, it can cause a fire. Yes or no?
It would be fuel for a fire. Cause, in my world, cause has a different description. I understand what you're going at, I think, but to say that the fuel is the cause of the fire, that's only 1/3 of the fire triangle.
I didn't say the fuel was the cause of the
No,
fire.
but you're saying, isn't it, that this oil could be the cause of the fire? And my answer is no, it would be fuel for the fire,
Yeah.
not the cause of the fire.
Yeah, okay. Fuel for the fire. Okay. So let me just ask you this, since you want to be so technical about the fuel. If, in fact, that something from the fireplace caused the fire, the fuel could enhance the fire. Would that be fair?
Yes,
Thank you. But we don't know if anything from the fireplace caused the fire, right?
correct.
In your report, you didn't make any conclusions as to what caused the fire, right?
No.
So on page 83 of your report, you,
Of the transcript?
I'm saying of your transcript. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Of the transcript. I'm sorry. So in 83, your question is, was he wearing the same clothes Saturday that he wore Sunday? And the response, oh, Sunday he was wearing sweatpants. I don't remember what he was wearing Saturday. Sunday he had on sweatpants. That's your response back. And she says, mm-hmm. And you asked, what kind of shirt did he have on? And she said, I don't remember if he had on a shirt. And you asked, okay, and would it be normal for him if he wore clothes, well, let's say Saturday when he was bleeding the furnace, if he had gotten oil on him, would he have worn those same clothes all night? The response was no. And she states he was a little bit more neater than that. He was a pretty boy. Now, my question is, then the oil on the clothes has some bearings in reference to your seeking out information about the cause and the origin of the fire. Is that correct?
Yes,
Were you told when you was asked to come, when you was given this assignment, that there had been a fatality?
yes,
You were told that up front, right?
yes, I believe so.
So what would the oil have any importance in reference to sweatpants?
Well, the oil, as in the interview, she had described the fact that her husband would have to bleed the furnace to get it to run. It'd be fuel oil. If he'd gotten some on his clothing, again, the fuel oil could be on his clothing. In a fire, if there's oil on the clothing, the oil would ignite along with the clothing because it's fuel.
Kind of back to what I was trying to say a few minutes ago, right?
Right. It's not a simple explanation.
You know, an arson fire shouldn't be simple. I mean, it would take a lot for somebody to do something like this. So I'm not trying to be simplistic.
Thank you.
And then you went to on page 85. You asked the question, is he capable of lighting himself on fire or trying to burn the house and getting caught in it? I mean, has he ever said he was going to burn the house to get rid of it? You asked that question because you thought that in part of your investigation that Mr. Stermer could have caused the fire?
I asked that question after I was told by Mrs. Stermer in the interview about the issues that they were having, the things that he had told her, and if he's there with her, there's only two people home, inquiring as to what's his state of mind. Has he ever threatened to do this? And her answer was, on the last section, was no.
And did your investigation, did you find any information in reference to Mr. Stermer having any fires before?
No, I did not.
You did not.
No, I did not.
Okay. So after the information that you are receiving from Ms. Stermer, do you try to corroborate any of that information in your investigation working for the insurance company?
No, as I said, I would do the scene investigation, and in the insurance industry, they'll generally segment, they'll separate the fire investigation from any additional follow-up financial examinations. Basically, my job is to determine what caused the fire, gather the general information to do that, and any other follow-up investigation would be done by other people or other people that were hired.
So you don't make any attempts to excavate or so, Mr. Shinsky, after you finish your interview with Ms. Stermer, that doesn't become the end of your assignment that you were given, or that the contract that you had with the company, right?
Correct.
Because then you have to go and try to determine whether or not you can corroborate any of the structural damage to the property. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in reference to the structural damage, you would then have to contract with someone else to come out and do the excavation of the house, of the burn, right?
No, I conducted that.
Did you do the excavation yourself?
Yes.
Physically, hand by hand?
Physically, hand by hand, and hired an excavator so we could remove the areas of the house that were hanging over the burned out section on the rear of the home, so that it was safe to get in and actually do that.
That's what I said. You had to hire someone.
A machine operator.
Yeah. But that's, some person had to operate
I
that.
thought you were talking investigatively to do it.
No, no. How many days did it take you to perform the excavation of the property?
I believe I was there 2 days,
2 days?
part of one day, and then the day with the machine that was utilized so we could make it safe to get in with the areas of the upper floor, the main floor that were kind of hanging over the basement area.
Okay. And from the excavation of the property, you then prepared a written report. Is that correct?
Yes.
And when did you submit your report to the insurance company?
I'd have to look at the date on it. It would have been, sometime after the scene investigation was completed. Normally, it would be within a couple of weeks, could be a little bit longer. I don't recall off the top of my head.
A couple of weeks?
Yeah, normally it would be within 2 weeks, sometimes longer. Sometimes a client will say, we don't need a report at this time. You can get into a segregation file or something like that. A lot of times they don't want you to write a report until they determine whether the case is moving ahead.
Okay. May I have a second, Your Honor?
Yes. Your Honor, may we approach the bench, please? Good morning, Mr. Shinsky.
Good morning.
You and I just met,
Yes, we did.
and we have an interesting common background.
Yes.
Went to the same high school. A little bit before me. Mr. Shinsky, what did you review to get ready for today?
Mainly, I read through my report and the transcript of the interview with Linda Stermer.
When did you do that?
Off and on for the last several weeks. I read parts of it and go through it. To sit down and read 93 pages gets tiresome.
I don't doubt it. We heard that. The report was fresh in your mind, I take it?
Vaguely.
Well, you read it over and over. You said,
Well, I mean, I've looked at the report, read through it.
okay. You understand it's very important you're coming to testify at trial today, right?
Yes.
And you want to have a good, fresh memory so you can help the jury do its job and understand the evidence, right?
Yes.
I want to call your attention. You remember when you testified earlier that the only person you interviewed was Linda Stermer?
Yes.
Show you your report. Do you have a copy?
No, I do not.
You didn't even bring your file?
My information, I wasn't testifying as an expert in this file.
Your report, page 7, indicates that on January 15, 2007, you had contact with Michael Matheny.
Yep.
I guess we asked him to refresh his recollection with the report or testify from the report, since they're two different things.
Your Honor, I'm just asking, I'm telling him this is what it says. Do you remember that?
Well, why don't you take the report from him then if he doesn't need it to refresh his recollection?
Do you now remember this?
Off the top of my head, no. I have no.
But
It's 17 years ago.
It would have certainly been accurate when you wrote it.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you recall Mr. Matheny in his interview telling you, and you understood he was the first person on the scene,
Yes.
besides Linda Stermer, obviously,
Correct.
right? Do you recall Mr. Matheny telling you,
Objection, hearsay.
it's for impeachment? He says he didn't remember it.
Well, you can ask him if he interviewed him or not. That's the impeachment,
No.
not that the statements are contained. That's yours.
That is not offered. It's
What's it
offered for
offered
impeachment.
for?
Doesn't remember anything about this. I'm asking him for his
First off, I've
recollection.
got, you're holding this report, are you refreshing or are you coming in
I'm
under
just
refreshing
asking.
memory or?
Yes,
Okay, then have him look at the report and put it down.
page 8.
Can I review the report?
Yes, you can review it if it would refresh your recollection, but then you need to put it aside, so.
Just looking for page 7 and 8 where you interviewed Mr. Matheny.
Yes.
Does that bring back the content of your interview with Mr. Matheny?
It would have to be what I have in my file.
All right,
Do I first have memory of the conversation? No.
of course not, right?
No.
Do you recall, as part of your investigation, you want to know what everybody thinks and sees and hears at the scene, right?
Correct.
Do you recall anybody telling you that there was no odor on Mr.
Objection is to hearsay, Your Honor. Again, now we're asking for an adequate statement. Yeah, this is one of those.
Not offered for the truth of the matter asserted, offered in what he does to take him to the next step of his investigation. They rely on these
Witness who
materials.
testified to something and you're impeaching with extrinsic evidence or,
It's simply, it's not hearsay because it's not offered for the truth of the matter asserted.
okay, what is this?
It's offered for the foundation of what he does next in his investigation as he gathers evidence.
What was your question again?
Simply, did anybody tell you that they smelled, and I'm talking about the first people who were there, like Mr. Matheny, that they smelled any odor of gasoline or anything on Todd Stermer?
Yeah, I object. We need hearsay.
I'm going to sustain the objection on hearsay grounds.
Did you, as you reviewed your report, have some indication of whether Todd Stermer, I thought you testified in reading that Todd Stermer was in the recliner when Linda Stermer saw him on fire?
That would have been my description of what I'd learned through the investigation.
Okay,
I didn't know he was in there other than what I learned from the scene.
but you used that as part of your investigation in gathering the facts, right?
That would be part of the facts, yes.
And so what you testified to, what you gathered from Linda Stermer, was that when she ran up the stairs, Todd Stermer, her husband, was in the recliner, right?
Yes.
And he was on fire.
Yes.
And the recliner was on fire.
Yes.
All right. Let me show you, direct your attention to page number
5
Are we talking the transcript or?
of the report.
Once again, Your Honor, I can't testify from his report.
Your Honor, he just testified as to what Linda Stermer told him. And I'm pointing out something for impeachment
From the transcript.
from his report
Okay.
based on the
On the
transcript.
What's the objection, Mr.
So the objection, Your Honor, is he, first he needs, the foundation is not correct for asking these questions. We're skipping over several steps here.
You wrote a report, correct?
Yes,
You're trained to be accurate, correct?
yes,
You try to be accurate, correct?
yes,
You try to be as detailed as possible, correct?
yes,
All right, and when you recounted your conversation on or about January 9 or 10 with Linda Stermer, you recounted it accurately, didn't you?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so at the bottom of page 5, let me know when you're with me, the last couple lines.
Yes,
She, Linda, indicated that the recliner where her husband was last seen was engulfed in a large ball of flames, as was her husband, who was standing by the door to the master bedroom, which is located off the living room. Is that what you wrote?
yes.
And that was accurate because you're trained to be accurate.
Yeah, that was accurate. In the transcript, I think she described him in a couple of different locations in that proximity. In the
My
transcript,
question is simply, sir, you're trained to be accurate and you wrote it accurately.
yes.
Let's go to your background. We talked a little bit about your background, but I think you were a fire investigator for the Michigan State Police for
Your Honor, this has been asked about across. Mr. Kelly actually asked several of these questions.
not specifically about his training with the MSP and his certifications.
Very brief inquiry into this.
Thank
It
you.
has been
I'll just ask you real
answered
quickly.
several times.
25 years, if my math is right, with the MSP as a fire investigator.
No, 25 years in the state police.
Okay, how long were you with as a investigator?
I was a trooper for 10 years on the road. I began investigating fires and training with about 4 years in as a trooper. And then I did 8.5 years as a full-time fire investigator. And then in my last 6.5, I worked out of an investigative resources unit, which was the training and certification of the state police investigators at that time, as well as at that time, state police provided 10 weeks of training programs to other police and fire departments.
Up in Tustin, Michigan.
Yes,
And you were one of the directors of that program, correct?
yes,
All right, so you spent a lot of time not only being trained, but training people
yes.
and certifying fire experts, correct?
Yeah, well, during the state police investigators at that time, and then certification moved into the International Association of Arson Investigators, took over the certification, and that's what all of us go through, is either them or through National Association of Fire Investigators for certification.
And
It's
you
two
are
different-
certified with the IAAI, correct?
Yes,
The International Association of Arson Investigators.
yes,
You're certified with NAFI, National Association of Fire Investigators.
yes,
You've taught many fire investigators through Michigan State, correct?
yes,
Michigan State Police, not the university. Did you train Scott Leroy, who became a fire investigator in 2001,
he would have come through the state's program.
through when you were running it?
God, I would assume so.
Okay. Did you mentor him during his young career?
No objections to relevance, Your Honor. I don't see how this is relevant to the testimony this witness has provided previously in this matter.
It goes to his background and why he's going to be there at the excavation, which we're going to get to right now. Did you train and mentor?
We have a ruling on the objection.
Apologize.
Okay. Is Mr. Leroy will be testifying?
He will
as
testify
expert?
next,
Okay. Then
or tomorrow.
okay, I'll allow it as relevant to that issue, Mr. Leroy's training.
No other question?
Without looking at calendar stuff, I would have to assume that he's been in programs that I was either instructing in or coordinating and running, and that more than likely could have been one of his instructors.
So you have a significant amount of expertise and qualifications in fire investigations, which is why you were hired to go to this place, the Stermer residence, correct?
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about that excavation. First of all, can you tell us what excavation is?
Basically, it's physically going into the damaged home, business, whatever, and look at, examine everything that's in the building, structurally, mechanical, electrical, furnaces, anything that could be a source of ignition. Then you physically dig through the debris, remove the ash and leftover wood lumber to identify what items are in there. In that process, you're identifying the damage, if there are fire patterns, which are results left after a fire occurs, burned lumber, patterns on walls, that sort of information. And then at that point, like as I described in this one, there was a couple of sections of the home, the main floor hanging over the basement, and it was on the 15th that we brought.
Sir, one of the main points of doing an excavation, of digging around and in the rubble, is to try to find evidence that will help you determine the origin of the fire, correct?
Yes.
Where the fire started, right?
Yes.
And maybe the causal factors of the fire, correct?
Yes.
What caused the fire? And I'm not going to talk about it in great detail, but you mentioned it earlier. The causal factors are the ignition source, right?
Yes.
Which is the first thing, the thing that caused something to catch fire, right?
Yeah, that would be your source of heat.
Okay. Then the first fuel ignited, correct?
Yes.
Which is the first thing that caught fire, right?
Yes.
And then the causal factor is the circumstances that brought the source and the fuel together. And if you can find those,
Your Honor, I guess one of the reasons at this point in time, are we going to qualify him as an expert? We're asking for a lot of expert testimony at this point in time. We're going well beyond my witness.
I simply went to why he's excavating and its importance.
I'll have you move on.
Thank
I
you.
think we're already covered.
Let's talk about your excavation. You went there on January 15, correct?
Yes.
You, having been a fire investigator for Michigan State Police, you're private industry at this point, right?
Correct.
Do you have to be allowed on the premises by, like a Scott Leroy, the fire investigator?
Yes.
All right. So he must have, I would look at it or think of it like he had to release the scene to you or anybody else, right?
Correct. Or at least allow me to be there while they were there.
Okay. But he wasn't there when you were there,
No, not on the 15th.
or the 11th.
I'd have to look at my photos. I don't recall that specifically.
If he tells us that he was only there on the 8th, the day after the fire, any reason to disagree with him?
No.
So you had to release the scene to where you could do what you were going to do, right?
Correct.
And you started to do some excavation, am I right?
Yes.
You took pictures of your excavation, right?
Yes.
I'm going to show you. A binder of photographs that was provided by the prosecutor that were represented in your. And in the documents we received, it came in like 2 files. I call them file 1, file 2. If you can just look through those, you might even see yourself in file 2.
Are we moving to admit these, Your Honor, or?
He's got to first identify him. That is my point.
But I think right now he's just going
I
to.
just wanted to see, these are his photos.
Yes, these are similar to my photos.
Okay, those represent the scene as you saw it on January 15th. And you're looking at file number 1.
Yeah, file number 1. Yeah, I don't recall off the top of my head what day I was there the first time. I know I did my interview on 9 and 10, but I'm not sure. I don't see, my first day there. But the one on the second batch is definitely on the 15th.
15th.
So whatever day I was there first would be the larger group one.
Fair enough. I'm going to move for the admission of Exhibit 8, which is the first batch, and Exhibit I, which is the second batch of 25 photographs. Okay? And as to Exhibit H, Your Honor, I'm not going to give it 116 photos. I just have 11 photos, and by for the record can identify them. I'm going to give them to Russ.
What you have marked as an exhibit, prosecutor?
I don't know, is it H or 8? I couldn't understand.
Mr. Mueller, is it two separate things you're moving to admit?
Move for the admission of Exhibit I, 25 photographs from Shinsky he identified. Move for the admission of Exhibit H, which are a select number of photographs from his file number 1, those photographs being 001, 002, 003, 006, 008, 042, 047, 054, 056, and 057.
So I guess, and maybe this is my own confusion, Your Honor. Are we admitting these or these entire binders?
Just these for Exhibit H. I don't need 116 photos.
Oh, I guess then I don't understand why we're trying to find out all the photos when, if you can identify. I guess I'm just confused on the foundational aspects.
You're moving to admit, is what Mr. Blither, not the
A
entirety of the
subset,
photos?
no, just a
Okay.
subset.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry. And the subset is, well, I'm just trying to get this clear. These are H 1, 2, 3, 6, and 8.
Well, it'll be 1 through 11. They're going to be, see, remember the way we've been doing them?
Yeah.
Point 1 to point whatever. And this would be point 1 to point 11.
Yeah, we have an H1 already, lacerations.
That should be his photographs.
We have H1 lacerations to have. H2. Yeah, maybe start here lettering or something. Okay, so what do you
This is
think?
H.
H, just H.
1 through 11.
Okay. Counsel, can you approach, please? Mr. Mueller?
Thank you.
Cross?
Get off this microphone. Mr. Shinsky, just before we were leaving, and for housekeeping matters, Your Honor, it was a little bit awkward, but now I just want to make for the record, we move for the admission of Exhibit H, point 1 to 11. We move for the admission of Exhibit I, point 1 to 25.
Any objection to admitting those? I presume they're all photographs, correct? Are they all photographs, Mr. Mueller? They're all photographs?
Yes,
Okay.
they're all
Any-
his photographs.
Okay, any objection, prosecutor?
No objection.
No, okay.
Thank you.
I'll admit those.
We're only talking about a select number, just 'cause I don't want to take all afternoon, but you took 141 photographs over probably 2 days, right?
Correct.
Why so many pictures?
It's digital, you just keep snapping. It's easy to do, and you cover areas, and you look at two pictures of the same location from a little different angle, you might be able to see more in it.
Because documenting your investigation is very important, right?
Yes,
In fact, you teach that
yes,
and have taught the importance of documenting your evidence, right?
yes,
And you probably heard the phrase, you can never take too many pictures, just too few pictures,
correct.
right? And when you've taught documenting your evidence and how important it is, you ever heard the phrase, and you may have used it, if it's not written down, it didn't happen.
Yes,
You subscribe to that mantra
Pardon me?
when you're teaching?
yes,
All right. So when we talk about the excavation, I'm going to show you, sir, just to put, I guess, in perspective, you walked around the house first, am I right?
yes,
Which is standard part of doing an investigation. Typically, wherever you choose to start, I like to say 12 o'clock, and you just kind of go in a circle and take some big pictures before you get into the narrow and nitty-gritty stuff, right?
Your Honor, I guess, again, I think we're stepping on this. He's not being called as an expert. Now we're asking him how he does a fire scene investigation.
Yes, how he takes pictures and what goes into his mind to take the pictures he does.
I'll allow you to testify factually what he did when he got there, but not as an expert.
I'm not asking for his opinion. This is the factual background.
You can ask him what he did in this case.
The first thing you did was walk around the house and took pictures, correct?
When I got to that point in the investigation, yes.
And you had an understanding of kind of the layout of the house. You remember that?
Yes,
The floor plan of the house
yes,
from Brittany, Ms. Stermer's daughter,
correct.
right? So you were showing some exhibits, 2 pages. You remember those?
I haven't seen those yet, but I'm familiar with them.
All right.
If
May I
it's-
approach?
You may.
These, and I think these were published as Exhibit 7 to the jury, are frankly only marginally better than my handwriting. I'm going to show you now what are a couple drawings, floor plans, and see if those would help you illustrate your testimony a little bit in terms of where you were looking and what you were trying to find when you were excavating.
Yeah, a cleaned up version of what Brittany gave us.
Okay. You'd be able to help illustrate your testimony with those, correct?
Yes,
And those accurately represent the floor plan as you understood it.
yeah, I believe so.
Okay, and move for the admission of Exhibit O, pages 27 and 28.
Court will receive those.
Page 27 is a floor,
So where you can visually see this, feel free.
Thank you, Your Honor.
page 27 is just a floor plan of the main floor, correct?
Yes,
And as you see on the bottom, west is heading straight up at 12 o'clock, so north would be at 3 o'clock.
correct.
Can everybody see this? All right. So you kind of had an idea of the foyer of the house was in front. We have a pantry and a kitchen and a dining room as we go around the north to the back of the house, right?
Correct.
This bay window was at the back of the house.
Yes.
right? And then we had the master bedroom in the back, which would be southwest corner, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And these dimensions, as you understood, were accurate, right?
I don't have any dimensions on Brittany's. I'm looking at the prints that came from the township records were not very good.
But they also describe dimensions, right?
Right, yeah.
And you wouldn't have any reason to quibble if it was basically 18 by 18 and then a little bit more on top?
No, I don't have any issues with that.
So one of the things you're doing is, in excavating, trying to dig down and find evidence you told us that might help you determine the origin of the fire, right?
Correct.
And the cause of the fire, the cause
Your
of
Honor, I'm going to
fact.
raise an objection again. We're talking about cause and origin with a person that's not here to give an opinion on cause and origin.
This is why he excavates. This is why he does what he does.
Right, but if he didn't, did he give one here in this case?
He has not given any opinion and is not going to be asked to give an opinion about cause and origin in this case.
Any questions on cause and origin, then I find it
I
relevant.
didn't ask any questions on cause and origin, but I'll move ahead.
Okay, thank you.
So, let's talk about some of these photographs. I want to go through, I keep losing my pencil. On Exhibit H, page 1, oops. It's just, would this be your kind of cover sheet?
Yes,
Date 1907, would that be when you received the assignment?
yes.
And likely, your memory is probably a couple days later, the 11th, you went out there?
No, I would have, I didn't review all of that with the dates, but I received the assignment the date of the 9th, which was probably the day I set up my file.
Okay,
So I could have gotten a call the night before and set it up to go on the 9th, because I interviewed Linda Stermer on 9 and 10.
So that makes sense. You would have at least done some beginning investigation, scene investigation, since you were there.
I don't believe I got there till the 9th.
Okay?
I don't have my laptop with me or my actual photos, where you could go in electronically and see what day they were taken.
Let's go to the second picture. I want to go to photograph 2. What are you trying to show here?
Just would be the east side of the home. I would call it the front side because the driveway comes into that.
We'll call it the front. Then you went to, looks like a little bit around to the left,
Yes,
part of your walk around.
yes,
Exhibit 6 kind of circles back around, and we're talking about that back southwest corner.
yes.
All right. What are you trying to depict here?
Be the southwest corner.
Just the general damage?
General overview of the home.
Okay. Number 8, picture of the rear of the house.
Yes,
Same thing, just trying to depict general damage to the house so you can get your arms around what you're going to do next.
correct.
All right. And then 42 should be the next one, is a picture showing some of the inside of the house. You see that?
By looking at it, I'm saying that's probably a picture shot in one of the windows.
All right, I want to talk to you about that. Your report talks about how this was a difficult excavation or difficult scene on page 12 of your report, if you have it. You remember it being difficult because there was a whole lot of damage and the roof fell in?
Yeah, it would be, yeah. The farther along the fire is in the home, the more difficult it is to actually investigate.
When you say it's difficult to investigate, why?
You don't have as many indicators, more of the house, more of the room left. Your fire patterns that you might have in a small fire, markings on the wall, damage to the studs are not in that condition. There's extensive burning here in that center portion.
And extensive collapse.
Yes,
And in fact, safety, I take it, for you fire investigators is paramount, isn't it?
yes,
Which is why I think you didn't do the excavation and you brought an excavator the next time you went out on the 15th.
correct, yeah. You had to get inside to do the excavation at basement level. You had stuff hanging over that may or may not fall down on you.
Right. And because you're concerned about safety, you didn't even go inside the house then, you just took pictures, as I understand it, from the windows that you were describing.
I probably would have gone through the inside as much as I could, just general photos.
Next one is photograph number 47. Can you tell us what that you're trying to describe here?
It's a photograph of the interior with the wire racks there. Oops, let me
No, I
turn.
don't know where's the address. I think we're dancing around, very carefully, I might add, expert testimony here again. The problem is he's showing him the photographs, asking what's in the photograph. Well, as a fire investigator, he can't not but offer some expert opinion in why this photograph is relevant and why it's important. He can't really give a factual witness testimony in this situation, because I've heard him even talk about looking for fire patterns and things of that nature as we've been sitting here, so.
Your Honor, I'm simply asking, what did you take? What does it show?
This is way beyond the scope of direct, even though that is allowed. The court's allowed to limit it as well, and it does seem that you're
I
going
asked
into
that I have some
expert.
latitude for cross-exam. I'm just going to go through these photos. What were you trying to show?
Okay.
Simple.
I'm going to have you move on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then 54, what does that picture show?
Picture of
Your Honor,
the-
Sustaining the objection, it's beyond the scope, and it's, he's not here as an expert witness unless you
Fair
wish to
enough.
try to
You
lay the
are
foundation.
not here as an expert witness, and you have not been asked, despite your experience, to give any opinion testimony in this case by the prosecutor. Is that right?
That's correct.
Give me 1 second. I have no more questions for you, sir. Thank you very much for coming. Go Huskies.
I'm going to start out with this these questions if I can first. You have Defense Exhibit H in front of you still?
Yes,
All right. And looking at these photographs, since they've been admitted here, were these photographs taken before or after you did any excavation or interior examination of this scene?
would have been before.
Before. So if you're looking at photograph number, looks like a bunch of zeros and 8 at the bottom right corner, do you see that?
Yes,
And does it appear that there's some piles and things in that photograph?
yes, there is. Outside the sliding door, there's a large pile of building materials and debris, also as there is to the right in that photo, which is going to be to the south. There's also stuff under that upper floor deck, looks like pile of debris or stuff that had been.
Do you have any idea what that is? As far as where it came from or how it got there?
No, I'm assuming that it probably was pushed out the windows or thrown out the windows.
Foundation calling from the speculate, and then he just said probably, so he doesn't know.
Well, have you moved, it's already asked and answered, so.
Yeah, I was just going to ask basically if you, and I guess to summarize, do you have any idea how that got there?
No, I didn't witness anyone put it there.
Okay. And with respect to today's hearing, or excuse me, today's testimony, I should say, had you had any contact with Mr. Mueller's office or Mr. Mueller?
No, I don't believe so, other than at one point got a subpoena for files that I, of course, sent to Farm Bureau.
Fair. And had you had any telephonic or email contact with Mr. Kelly?
No. I don't.
The microphone again. Thank you.
And had you had any indication that you were going to be asked any questions about the report that you prepared in this case?
No.
And with respect to your expected testimony here in court, was that limited to the transcripts that you've testified about here some hours ago?
Yes.
And was that all you were asked to prepare for today?
Yes.
And when you're investigating any type of scene, strike that. When you were a state trooper, we'll go back to that level. Witness statements, are they important?
Yes.
Why?
General information, firsthand view of what they saw, what they observed, what they knew.
And as a now a fire investigator, are eyewitness statements important?
Yes.
Why?
The same information, and if they have descriptions of flames, fire, where they saw it, that kind of stuff is helpful in determining where the fire originated.
Would you consider the statements of Linda Stermer to be important to your
Yes.
investigation?
Yes.
Explain why.
She was in the home at the time the fire occurred based on the statements and information, so she would have the best information to provide on any of the events that were there and going on.
And were you aware of how many persons were in the home on January 7, 2007?
As far as I know, it was her and her husband.
And obviously, Mr. Stermer is not here to tell us that about what happened, correct?
Correct.
When you are conducting your investigation, you were asked questions on cross about finances and marital discourse and things of that nature. Do you recall those questions?
Yes.
And are those fairly standard questions you asked during the course of your interviews?
Yes.
And why is that information relevant to your interview?
To try to understand what the normal life and events were for the people that were there, that lived in the home.
And I guess, can you kind of expound upon why that would be important for your investigation?
Just the normal life, what was going on, were there any issues, were there any outside threats from anyone, threats between each other. We have a standard interview form, you can answer all the questions, you get answers to the questions, but if you don't talk to the person, you really don't know what's going on unless you talk to the person and listen to them, ask questions, and then have a discussion over it.
And very generally speaking, could those questions possibly also yield or point you in the right direction as to the cause of the fire?
Yes.
May I just have a moment, Your Honor? I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Your Honor.
Mr. Shinsky, did you just say that the interview that you obtain helps you lead to determining the cause of the fire?
It could be helpful.
What else would be helpful?
Any of the general information. Things that we identify when we go through the investigation, damage to the home, electrical equipment needs to be examined, mechanical equipment needs to be examined to determine whether or not there was a failure or an issue with any of those. And by doing the excavation, you can determine that.
But the interview is the first part of your information that you use to help determine the cause of the fire, right?
Yes,
Okay. And do you do anything to corroborate the information you received in the interview?
I guess on the statements with the discussion between Linda Stermer, I don't know how I could corroborate that other than what she explained to me when I asked a question in our discussion.
Well, as an investigator, would you ever talk to other family members that was in the house or that lived in the house?
There was no one else home at the time the fire occurred based
understand.
on the information.
I'm talking about family members. I didn't say that was in the house the day of the fire, but you knew in your interview that the nucleus of the family existed of three young men, right?
Yes.
Did you ever interview them?
No, I did not. As I said, my job was not the follow-up legwork that goes on outside of the fire scene investigation. The insurance companies will contract generally to another party to separate the fire origin and cause from any other investigation.
You've been shown a copy of your report that you prepared, right?
Yes.
If you turn to page 7.
I'm just going to raise the objection now as far as refreshing your recollection, or we're going to have him testify from the report. It's just based on past practices. I'm just inquiring.
Is this refreshing recollection? If so, he'll need to look at the report and then put it down.
Yes, but otherwise, further, that he previously testified that he didn't talk to anyone but Linda Stermer.
So if it's a prior inconsistent statement, then you don't need to have him look at his report unless you're refreshing his memory. I'm not clear.
That's why I asked him, did he have his report?
Right, it's just, it looks like he's reading off of the report.
It looks like he's reading off the report?
Yes, he's holding it in his hand. So what is this for? Is it a prior inconsistent statement?
Yes.
Okay, so you can, if he needs, you could ask, what did he previously say?
Yes.
X, Y, Z.
That's what I thought I was trying to. Thank you, Judge.
Look,
May I also raise the objection to ask the answer if we're going to ask about people who's talked to that was asked by Mr. Mueller on the cross.
I'll allow it.
So, can you review the lower part of your report on page 7?
Yeah, the part where it talks about that I interviewed Mr. Matheny, I do not recall that.
Well, you prepared this report, or did somebody else prepare this report?
I prepared this.
You typed it?
No, I would have dictated it and sent it to our office,
Okay.
who does the typing, and then they send it back to us.
And that's the process you do on all your reports, is that correct?
Yes.
Well, when I previously asked, did you talk to anyone else to corroborate or to validate any information in reference to Ms. Stermer's interview? You said no.
And I did not recall talking to Mr. Matheny and then looking at the report, his girlfriend, Ms. Calhoun, and also in the report, I did, of course, talk with the fire chief to get the general information from them.
Now, this was on January the 17th of 2007. January the 17th of 2007.
The 15th.
January the 15th. If your numbers sometimes could be, because your report starts out with saying that your date was on January the 7th. Now, Judge, if I could just do my cross, I will be finished and I will sit down, I promise.
Okay.
I respect Mr. Kelly's right to do his cross, but I just,
my job, Judge.
but we need to do it, follow the rules, Your Honor.
I'm gonna overrule, it's a leading question, but it's cross.
Just so we can get a clarification in reference to dates. On page 5 of this document, your report, contact with insured, on January the 7th of 2007, would that be a typographical error?
No,
Okay, so that's the date that you actually got, you made a contact with someone in reference to the Stermer house?
yes, yes.
Did the insurance company contact you on January the 7th?
I'd have to look. I have the date that I opened my file on the 9th,
Right.
and I would have received the file. They would have called or sent it into the office. The office would have notified me, and then would have set up a file and sent it to me electronically.
Okay.
And I don't have in my report the exact date that I was contacted. No, it was, I received Rodney Thumer, Farm Bureau of Insurance, contacted Kirby Bailey, on January 7th, request origin and cause investigation of a fire that occurred at the Stermer residence, January 7th, 2007, and that's on page 4.
So you were contacted the same day of the fire?
Correct. After reviewing this, yes.
Okay. So now, on the 15th of January, you have a conversation with Michael Matheny, right?
Yes.
Where did you contact Mr. Matheny at?
Your Honor, I'm going to just ask that answer at this point.
He hasn't answered. I haven't even asked him where he contacted Mr. Matheny yet.
I don't remember this, so I'll overrule that.
What was the question?
Where did you contact Mr. Matheny to interview him?
It was either at the fire scene, he came over, or I may have gone to his home. I don't recall. They live right next door.
So that's something that you can't validate in your report, where you interviewed Mr. Matheny at, right?
No,
On the
I
15th of
don't,
January.
I don't recall
Okay.
whether it was on the site.
And did you interview Miss Connie Calhoun the same day?
No, I don't believe that I talked with Connie. I have in my report information that Mr. Matheny referenced about what him and Miss Calhoun were doing on the day of the fire. They were leaving to go bowling when they noticed the smoke at the Stermer home.
But you reached out to them to find out what they are, isn't that correct?
Yeah, that more than likely, yes.
How did you get their information?
Probably from the fire department.
Beg your pardon?
Probably from the fire report,
From the
the fire department report.
or from the Van Buren County Sheriff's Department?
That's possible.
Okay. And the information you obtained from Mr. Matheny, you also found out that there was some clothing that had been taken out of Mr. Matheny's truck.
Objection, hearsay.
Your report,
Your Honor, in court rule, my objection of hearsay.
Yeah, I'll sustain
All
that
right.
objection.
now for clarification, are these the only other individuals that you interviewed in reference to the Stermer fire?
Yes, I believe so.
No further questions.
Mr. Blair, any
I
other?
have some very brief follow-up.
Okay.
Would it be fair to say that when you're working for an insurance company, you're kind of only a piece of the insurance investigation?
Yes,
And you were hired in this case to investigate the fire, is that correct?
correct.
And I think you may have touched on this earlier, when it comes to finances or other aspects that you may have learned through your interview, you turn that over to a different person in the insurance company?
Correct, yeah. The insurance company would hire someone separate, and I would have nothing to do with that.
So it's fair to say, I guess, in one of these types of cases, there's like an insurance investigative team that kind of works on these.
Yes,
Overruled, I'll allow it.
And you made this original report you've been asked to review approximately 18 years ago?
yes,
And I think I've already asked this, but you were not asked to review it in advance of today's testimony, is that correct?
no, I was not.
Is there a way that law enforcement can request a copy of your insurance report?
Yes, there is.
And you have knowledge of that from possibly working in the state police or other ways?
Yes, yes.
How's that done?
Section 29.5 of the Fire Prevention Code provides for the release of insurance file information on a claim when requested by law enforcement. And law enforcement has a form they fill out for their investigation, documents they're trying to get. They send that to the insurance carrier, and if they approve it, the law says that they shall provide the claim file documentation.
And just because I feel like this has been danced around a little bit, did you prepare your report or any of your investigation for law enforcement?
No.
Thank you. No further questions.
Good.
We're good. Thank you.
Okay. Jury, any questions of this witness? Yes. Okay. Determined under the law not to ask some of the questions that have been presented. But I do have some questions that I will be asking you, sir, no objection from counsel. If you know, was Linda aware that your interviews with her were being recorded?
Yes.
Are there, and if you know, are there any recordings or transcripts of any other interviews other than Linda's?
No, there are not.
Okay. Why?
I believe I just had a brief conversation with Mr. Matheny. I may have been at the fire scene or at his home, and I just took notes from that.
Okay. Thank you. Counsel, any follow-up
Yes.
questions in light of those questions and answers?
Is that a fairly common practice in your line of work for certain persons you interview to just take notes and then memorialize it in a report later?
Yes, homeowner, someone that was involved in or at the scene of the fire, normally you would record those, and if it's door-to-door neighborhood canvas, that kind of thing, you would just take handwritten notes on it.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kelly, any questions?
Just brief. Did I understand that you said you did not record any of the other interviews?
No, the interview of Mr. Matheny or the fire chief, no.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Jury, any other questions in light of those questions and answers? Nope. Is this witness excused from subpoena, counsel?
Oh, yes, if you please be excused, Your Honor.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor. Oh, no objection.
No objection? Okay. You're done and you're excused from your subpoena obligations. And I guess other than your own materials, you can hand me the other.
Yeah, this is all defense, that's prosecutors.
Okay, none of that's yours?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.